Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Can we talk about Face Off? This is it! We were running a theme all along, and you didn't even realize it. We had our John Travolta movie, we had our Nick Cage movie, and now we got the two of them movie right here today. It is Face Off. Are you excited, Kristen / Madeline?
Yeah, I think I'm slightly traumatized, but yeah.
I will say that Face Off, I mean, we're not going to get into it immediately here, but Face Off is a movie that I both at the same time overestimated and underestimated, I think.
I don't know if you would agree with this. When I watch it, I think this seems like a movie that was missing from Joe's life.
This is a movie that I think, yeah, if I watched this maybe 6 or 7 years ago, I would have been all about this fucking movie.
Oh my god, if you watched this when you were in high school, I would have, hated this movie, because you never would have shut up about it.
You're probably right. And, so we'll do our formal introductions real quick. We said, throwing names around a few times. I'm the face of the title. My name is Joe.
I'm Kristen the Slash.
I guess I must be off.
Yes.
I'm Madeline.
Well, you're off and on the podcast every so often, so I guess you're off this week even though you're here.
I'm off.
Off and on.
I'm off.
Woo!
Goodbye. See you later. This was all I was here for, just the intro.
And we actually have Madeline to thank for this idea here, because you love this movie, Madeline.
Yes, I do. And you guys mentioned it offhand at some point. I don't even remember what. I remember being on the train on my commute listening to this podcast, and one of you saying something about Face Off, and both of you saying, yeah, I never saw that movie. And I was like, fuck.
You know what? That might have been the Broadway Magic episode of Jem, because that's during Who Is She Anyway? They pulled Jem's face off.
Oh, right. She pulls his face off.
Yeah,
but,
that's my best guess off the top of my head, at least.
There's been more than one occasion in which I am listening to this podcast, and I stop everything I'm doing to text Kristen something.
Yep, that's
Most
true.
recently, it was a correction about Cobra Starship, because that was very important to me. Cobra Starship only does have the one main singer, just saying.
Yeah, I fundamentally misunderstood the structure of Cobra Starship.
That's an important correction to be made.
Yeah, I'm glad someone's correcting us, because I don't want to be, freewheeling with facts or anything.
I was really into Bandom, I can't help it.
We were going to do this, and we just decided, you know what, we usually do movies in threes, so because this is a double bill movie, why not do a John Travolta movie, which of course is an easy choice with Grease, and we had a bit of a harder time choosing for Raising Arizona, because, honestly, because if we chose Con Air I feel like is too similar of a movie to this, if that makes sense.
I've never seen Con Air, so I do not know.
Me neither. But I'm guessing, yeah, it's very action, pow, Nick Cage.
And there's a kid there.
Yeah.
Right, it's over-the-top, ridiculous, stupid, exactly like this movie is.
Yeah.
So I think we have a good balance here.
Yeah. My original suggestion was Wicker Man, but Wicker Man's also very much a really Nick Cagey kind of Nick Cage film.
I believe, because this seems to be your forte, Madeline, that you have an intro prepared for this movie.
Yes, absolutely. So, Face Off came out in 1997. It was directed by John Woo, who's a director from China who did mostly kung fu movies in his early career, and then kind of transitioned into the more action-y, something that's very indicative of his style in this that you can actually see in Face Off is the whole action scene going on in the background while you watch doves fly and the camera. It's very
this movie is shot better than it has any right to be.
It's over-dramatic, ridiculous action chase scenes, which normally I hate. I get so bored during action movies and during action scenes in otherwise good movies. But this is it's a special brand. So we actually are a little bit confused about this. Originally, supposedly, according to Amazon, the original cast was supposed to be Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone.
That's what Amazon told me when I hovered over one of the early scenes.
Right, that I saw that as well, as that's just one of the IMDb trivia, which I gotta say, Amazon,
yeah, I think
Amazon Video, really good about just when you pause the movie, it has a bunch of IMDb trivia on the sidebar for some reason, and I like that a lot, actually.
Yeah.
I like that it always tells me what actor is in the scene that I'm watching.
That too, yeah.
But when I looked into it, I think that's what the script writers wanted, because John Woo was hoping to cast Michael Douglas and Jean-Claude Van Damme. Michael Douglas, of course, from his incredibly important role in the Matthew McConaughey movie Ghost of Girlfriend's Past.
Yep.
I don't believe he's done anything else of note, really. No. And then also Jean-Claude Van Damme. So that would have been a very specific kind of movie.
But we had a discussion about how we weren't sure, is this an action comedy movie or is this an action movie that is suffering from John Travolta and Nick Cage?
I think it's definitely that, because there's something really magical.
So am I going to laugh at Jean-Claude Van Damme? I don't think so. He would find me and punch me.
This probably would have just been like a mediocre movie, honestly. Or, well filmed. A probably very good movie, but it's a whole other entity now.
It's an enigma.
Yeah, so actually, the way I heard about this movie, people talked about it a lot, and I knew the fundamental premise of, like, oh, they swap faces. I didn't know why, but they swap faces.
I think that's what most people know.
Yeah. I don't know how this happened, but I guess I heard things about it so off and on that, like, I knew that John Travolta was in it, and then I forgot that fact. And then I knew that Nick Cage was in it, and then I forgot that fact. And so, about a year ago, I very suddenly came to the realization that this was a movie starring both John Travolta and Nick Cage, and I had to fucking watch it. And it's so amazing. And it might also be the ending point of my really embarrassing John Travolta crush, which is a horrible thing.
I'm pretty sure about that on the podcast
before.
Oh, God,
probably. It's really, really humiliating. But this is about the cutoff point where you're just kind of like, ooh, not anymore. No offense to the strange, weird man that is John Travolta. He was very, very pretty. This might be the ending of that.
You've said, I'm pretty sure that, like, John Travolta as Danny is the reason you like Butch DeLorean so much.
It sucks! I hate it! Oh, God! So that's this thing.
That is this movie, and I gotta say, I just want to, one note that I made about John Woo, I know that he's pretty famous for, and we see it in this movie, too, of people jumping sideways in slow motion and shooting a gun in each hand.
Yep, like Time Crisis.
They did that a lot.
Which Nick Cage is so kind to do at the pretty much the very beginning of, not the very beginning, it actually takes longer than I thought for them to get face-offed than I expected, because it's not until like a half hour into the movie, right?
Halfway into the movie, I was like, how is there still like an hour of this movie left? This movie is a lot like when you finally get used to watching and are familiar with the timeline of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, where you don't understand why everything takes so long and feels so long. Like, it doesn't feel right anymore. Time stops working correctly.
See, on your fifth watch, which I might be on, it does start to feel more normal. But yeah, it doesn't help that the movie starts out with like a 10-minute long action sequence that doesn't really matter other than to just have Nick Cage be hurt.
I think when you don't know what to expect, it's like, what the fuck could possibly happen now?
Yeah.
I gotta say, I was intimidated by the length at first, because usually what I like to do is I like to watch about half of what we're recording the day before, and then the other half the next day. I was completely fucking captivated by this movie, and I watched it all in one sitting. You know, it took me like 4.5 hours probably, because I had to stop and write a note every 10 seconds, but I just, you know what? I think it's time that we get into it. There's not really this is the first movie that we've run into where there's not really a nice song to like put in. I'm thinking I'm just gonna put in Handel's Hallelujah Chorus, because that was the most prominent song for me.
That is an excellent choice.
I like that.
Yes.
Even though Castor Troy calls him a hack. So fuck you, Castor Troy. Here's Handel's Hallelujah Chorus before we get into talking about Face Off.
You really love your logos, don't you?
My notes again start Paramount logo, comma, white text on black background, which is how the credits start pretty much. And again, like I said, I got to write something there, so I just write, and it's a normal Paramount logo. It's the one with the stars flying towards the mountain, and you know, that one from the 90s that, or maybe it's a new version. I don't know when that logo started. We're getting stuck on logos. If you didn't even say it, Kristen, I wouldn't have talked about it.
Oh, well, I didn't know that. This is what happens when you let me be the first person to say something. On Madeline's DVD that we just watched, a beautiful disc rolls into the back of the Paramount logo like, man, welcome to the future.
Paramount DVD, man.
Whoa, you can watch movies at home.
And we start, it fades in on, we got a carousel.
A David Cage game.
A David Cage game. It's
literally Heavy Rain.
It is a carousel. John Travolta's hanging out with some kid, and we hear the generic kid laugh. I don't know, like, I don't think there's a specific name for the stock sound effect of a kid laughing, but I think,
like a Wilhelm laugh.
Yeah. genderless laugh.
we get a stock scream effect later too. That's not the Wilhelm scream that we'll get to. But the title comes up as we see Nick Cage in silhouette. He pulls off the cover of his rifle, and Nick Cage has a horrible mustache at the beginning of this.
That's how you know it's the past, because he got a different face. Oh.
God. Every time we say the word face.
That's gonna be. I can tell it's gonna be a problem.
John Travolta hugs his kid, and Nick Cage is like, "What?" And
I mean, we don't know it's his kid at this point.
It could be some kid. I know.
Just any kid.
Is this where now John Travolta does the weird hand thing to his kid's face before he dies here, right?
Yep.
Yes. God, I have such a problem with that.
All right, so let's take a moment. One of, I guess, John Travolta's character, and okay, so here's the other thing. Let me just backtrack a second here. I didn't refer to any of the characters as Sean Archer and Castor Troy. I referred to them as John Travolta and Nick Cage, so things might get confusing after a while.
Yeah, halfway through, we're gonna get really confused.
Well, John is Sean.
John.
And then there's the Castor Pollux situation, which is so...
Nick Castor.
Nick Castor.
Nick Stage. Nope, never mind.
So yeah, okay, so that's just, I'm putting that there. John Travolta, one of his defining character things, his character Sean Archer.
And his whole family.
Yeah, his whole family does take part.
You're right, I'm sorry. His whole family does this. They do a weird thing where they run their hand over your face with like the nose going through the second and third digit, or the third and fourth digit on your hand. Or is it the second and third? I'm not sure, but everybody does it.
It's like a weird serial killer thing, and I was saying to Madeline when we were watching it, it is really lucky no one in this family has glasses. Because Joe, you might be able to relate to this too, because we both have glasses. If someone tried to do that to me, I would slap them.
I don't want fingerprints on my glasses. It's hard enough fucking not scratching them when I'm trying to clean them.
Yeah. A, get your hand away from my face. Mm-hmm. B, keep your fingers away from my glasses.
Nick Cage is attempting to murder John Travolta here, although he shoots John Travolta and it, I guess, goes through his body, and he's hugging his kid in the process, and it kills the kid. Blood on the horse. There's balloons flying away. It's all slow motion.
It honestly is exactly like Heavy Rain, because spoilers for Heavy Rain that nobody cares about. There's the whole thing of like the jumping in front of a car to protect his son, and then the car hits him and his son, but his son's the only one that gets actually hurt.
Yeah. He, the shock from Ethan's body, it electrocutes Jason to death or something, and there's a balloon!
So I'm pretty sure David Cage stole this, but...
Yeah, so his soul is in the balloon and it's going up to heaven. Also, there's a carousel later with Sean.
There also, after he gets shot, I might have seen things wrong. It looked like there were still people on that carousel.
I paid my 50 cents! I'm not getting off!
Yeah, getting hit with the bullet makes him fly off the carousel or jump off the carousel, I'm not sure.
They land, it shows them both falling off together. John Travolta is still holding his kid. And then when it cuts to them again, he's 10 feet away from him on the ground and he has to crawl over to him. That kid bounced real good.
John Travolta sobs, which is, I think, the first time that I laughed in the movie. Or it might have been it might have been at Nick Cage's mustache, I'm not sure. But just John Travolta just going...
No, it doesn't help that John Travolta's voice doesn't match his face somehow in this film. I don't know what's up about it. Maybe it's just that he has a higher pitched voice than you'd expect him to have as gruff cop with dead kid. Yeah. So it feels
he's too much of a pretty boy for the role that he's in. Yeah. Which is a weird thing to say about 1997 John Travolta.
he's still the same pretty boy. He's just a little bit he's just kind of got jowls now.
Yeah. I have complete problems with this scene because we are led to believe that Nick Cage is very good at shooting. Boy got a sniper rifle, he was shown aiming it. The first go around on the carousel seemed like he did not want to aim at the kid. Then this really good aim man didn't understand that if he shot someone in the back with a child in front of them, it might also kill the kid. Why didn't he just shoot John Travolta in the head?
A really good aim man?
Yes! I kind of lost it there for a second. Get off my back. Marksman.
He turned on his aimbot.
And everything went to hell.
But we get 6 years later, and we join Sean Archer, John Travolta, back at the cop office. He has a wall with a ton of awards and stuff, so he's a damn good cop.
Which means he is a damn bad father.
Nick Cage's face comes up in the police database, I guess because they're looking for him. They know that he's in L.A., he's doing something. We find out that his name is Castor Troy. And it doesn't matter to me. He's Nick Cage to me. We get our first look at Nick Cage in his priest garb at this point, right? And he looks horrible. He looks worse than with the mustache.
It's so good.
He looks like he's been doing a lot of drugs instead of sleeping.
It's so good. And it also helps that he enters the scene to the sound of the choir singing, and then he does some, like, sick shoulder shimmy head banging, like some Britney Spears late 90s moves.
Oh, yeah. He looks real nice.
And nobody else bats an eye?
No.
Whatever.
Yeah, pretty.
I don't understand. Nick Cage, does a sweet black metal hair mosh thing, but he doesn't have any hair. He has a really weird haircut, a weird priest haircut that he loses
Receding
after
hairline.
a certain point. Yeah. He has a laptop bomb as well, or a laptop thing that activates a bomb, and for some reason, I guess we learn later that Pollux is the one who kind of made all this stuff, right? I was just very curious as to why his laptop bomb, when he had to enter the code, says, "What's the code?" instead of, like, enter password.
Yeah, user-friendly UI.
We cut back to Sean Archer, and he's expounding that he is part of a anti-terrorism squad, a squad so secret that they can't get anything done, damn it, because he wants Castor Troy, because he killed his son. I need to avenge my son by taking out Nick Cage. So John Travolta is clearly just a very stressed guy, looking for Castor Troy. We cut back to him, and here's where, Nick Cage does the black metal weird dance thing, and he approaches the chorus and like blows his priest cover to some lady at the front of the chorus when he's just like, "Oh, Handel's Messiah, I think it's fucking boring," and then he grabs her ass.
Yeah.
And then he makes a big Nick Cage face.
Mm-hmm.
A Nick Cage face I've seen a million times before. I never knew it was from this movie. So Castor Troy, very clearly a weirdo, a big old weirdo. So we join Sean Archer back in his office, and he gets a call from his wife, and then as soon as he's about to pick it up, in bursts Tito, is Tito his partner? Or just a guy?
Buddy pal?
Just another...
There's so many, like,
friend and comrade.
There's so many cop casualties that, like, it might as well just be, like, expendable guy number 7.
Yeah, honestly. It's not around that long.
Tito seemed like he would be a big character, but yeah, he dies pretty early, actually. He informs Sean Archer that they got news that Pollux Troy, who is Castor's brother, he's getting on a plane, so they got to send one of their people over there, and that's way more important than talking to his wife. So let's go. Time to go.
See you later, wife.
See you later, wife. Again, as you were saying, good cop, bad father, or bad family man in this case.
Yep.
So we join Pollux on the runway outside, and here we get a slow motion shot of Nick Cage getting out of the car at the airport. He's wearing a long coat. It's blowing in the wind.
I have some mild scruples about this movie trying to convince me that Nick Cage is a very attractive man.
They do a lot.
And, like, they reference it constantly, and I just not feeling it. I feel like I'm being lied to my face, and not even subtly.
Well, that's your prerogative, I guess, Kristen. I'm sure people find Nick Cage attractive. I don't know.
Yeah, I have the outlying opinion, clearly.
He's got some lovely baby blues, I guess, but other than that, I have no idea.
Everyone loves him for his pyramid.
We see his golden pistols with, like, the dragon tampographed on the fucking grippy part of the gun. What is that?
I think it might be the grip.
Yeah, the grip. Everything I know about guns I learned from Metal Gear Solid 3. So.
I'm no gun expert, so he's got gold dragon pistols. And
cool.
When he walks up to Pollux, he opens up like a box for him, which I don't know what the deal with this box is of Castor Troy's that has
it's his dragon stash.
It has like joints and chiclets in it.
Weird blue pills.
And a different pair of sunglasses.
A money clip shaped like a beautiful golden dragon, which is awesome.
Right.
I don't think that would fit in your pocket very comfortably, though. Seems a little bit pointy.
Pollux and Castor, they exchange some pleasantries about, fucking whatever with the bomb, whatever. He ties his shoes, which...
Because he's a big brother.
Because he's the big brother. He hates...
Yeah.
Pollux hates when he's called bro. But nope, too bad, gotta tie your shoes.
That doesn't really ever come again, because then later in the movie, Pollux is calling Castor bro.
I don't know. It doesn't really matter.
I don't know anyone who actually talks like that.
It does come up, doesn't it? Wait,
I don't think so.
because Pollux hates being called bro, right?
Yes, he says that, but then...
Yeah, because that's one of the things that happens in Prison later.
Yeah, but it doesn't, like, he doesn't react... Like, he only, like, reacts to it, but not, like, verbally or anything.
There's a lot of very...
Oh, yes, these subtle performances.
Very subtle Pollux spaces that you have to pick up on, and that you only pick up on your fifth viewing of the...
I'm sorry, you're the expert. I talked out of turn.
It's all bullshit. Don't worry about it.
So we get on the plane, and Nick Cage is immediately hitting on the stewardess, where he starts. So John Travolta has the hand thing. Nick Cage is all about peaches. He loves the peach verbiage.
It's
It's an innuendo.
It's really, this is one of the many uncomfortable moments that Castor Troy portrayed by both men made me very uncomfortable in this movie. This being one of them, where he has those stewardess come to sit in his lap, and it's like, hey, can you get me anything? How about a peach? And it's like, oh god, oh fuck.
No, please no. Sometimes I think about movies like this and moments and things actors have to do, and I wonder what line has to be crossed for Nick Cage to be like, I don't really want to stick my tongue out and have her put her mouth over it. I'm not comfortable with that.
I'm not sure he has a line like that, honestly.
I don't know, like, why would John Travolta lick his fake daughter's face later? Like, what?
Ooh, I can't wait to get into that, because that made me the most uncomfortable.
Oh, yes.
Oh, but here comes the police. The police are driving down the runway, and Nick Cage is in... No, excuse me. I'm already getting myself confused. John Travolta is in a Hummer driving towards the plane, and as soon as Nick Cage gets to the front of the cockpit to look out, he's just like, aha, that's Sean Archer. Like, he could see
Good
him,
eyes.
he could see a million miles away.
He's clairvoyant, you just feel it.
The flight attendant is actually an FBI lady, so she got
She
to...
does not get paid well enough to have to suck on his tongue.
No.
Holy shit.
She also blows her cover really quickly and at a very bad time. Not really shocking if she gets wasted like 2 minutes later.
She's a named character too. Like, you know, we see as they're basically playing chicken with each other in the Hummer and the plane, which I thought, okay, so my impression was I knew they switched faces. I thought it was they both get into some sort of accident, and it's an accident that their faces get switched somehow. I thought
that's what I thought too. Because of all the time that they were nearly hot things after the plane crashes later, I figured, I don't know, maybe both of their faces get melted. They do reconstructive surgery on both of them and get them messed up.
Right, that's what I thought they at first, that yes, the Hummer and the plane were going to crash into each other, and that's how it might
and just slice their face off.
something like that. Something like that would
One
happen.
clean cut.
But the game of chicken ends when Nick Cage shows that he has the flight attendant lady at gunpoint, and John Travolta in his high squeaky voice goes, "He's got winters, damn!" Swerves off. And yeah, that's the thing. When it's like you name a character and then she gets fucking shot half a minute later, it's like, okay, what's going on with that?
Yeah, Nick Cage is also really bad with, like, hostages.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to understand the idea.
No, he, like, kills them all pretty quickly. Like, okay, done with you. Like, even when the pilot is still in the middle of trying to fly the plane, he's like, nah, I got this.
I'll do this myself.
See you later.
Yeah, because John Travolta immediately gets in a helicopter to try to give chase to the plane, and the helicopter, like, goes down on the plane to prevent it from taking off. And Nick Cage is like, hey, pilot, can you take off? And he's like, well, one of our engines is fucking blown, and two, there's a helicopter on top of us, and then he doesn't get to the third thing because Nick Cage shoots him in the head.
Yep. Nick Cage is like, I'll figure it out, which does not happen.
No, it crashes into a, I guess they say it's a hangar. I said that it was a warehouse of some sort because it looks like it knocks over a bunch of, like, fucking paint barrels or something.
And it looked, I guess they were testing an engine there too.
But, like, it's so weird because they keep all these things that look like they are probably full of fuel next to all of these engines that are hot.
Yeah.
Like that at any moment, like, you just bump into an engine and it'll turn on and you'll get, like, covered in gasoline. Like, what the fuck?
This hangar kind of had this coming.
Oh my god.
Also, after crashing the plane into the storage thing through, like, a wall and stuff and a bunch of other shit, Nick Cage is completely fine. He jumps out of the plane and does the fucking gun in each hand, jumping sideways, slow motion shoot as there's a ton of police casualties where really the only person that's shooting in this scene basically is Nick Cage, because Pollux gets captured almost immediately and Nick Cage wastes like 7 or 8 cops.
Yeah.
They're not very good cops.
It's quite a body count. Yeah, no one's really using cover properly.
He also shoots off a guy's ear, which we'll hear about later.
Yeah, plot device.
Nick Cage manages to get away into, I guess, a deeper area of a hangar where, yes, here's where the jet engine is and all the various things that look like fuel. And here's just, I don't know, this whole scene is baffling where John Travolta's like walking around and there are other people this deep in the hangar and John Travolta just goes, "Get down!" like 3 times and like jumps on top of them, but all of them get shot.
Yeah, again, lots of casualties. I was thinking, watching this, like, I understand, like, they want to go after him and, like, get him faster. Get him. But why couldn't they just wait for him to come out? He could stay in there forever.
You know what?
Starve him out.
It's a movie. Gotta have an action scene.
Put that hangar under siege.
Gotta have 1 out of your 5 major action scenes.
Yep. I mean, the movie just wouldn't be as exciting if we had this action sequence.
Yes.
Nick Cage also in this scene seems to like magic himself into the perfect spots to shoot these people, but not hit John Travolta also.
Mm-hmm. It's the game, Joe. It wouldn't be fun if he killed him fast. I say very confidently.
They somehow get within arm's reach of each other, and they both say that, "Oh, you only got 1 bullet left," even though Nick Cage was either lying or he wasn't counting because he actually has 0 bullets left.
Yeah.
Or actually, because doesn't Nick Cage character, whatever, Nick Cage. Nick Cage tells John Travolta, "You've only got 1 bullet left," and he's like, "Yeah, you too." And they're like, "Oh, I guess we both know our guns." And turns out John Travolta's wrong, so maybe he just doesn't know guns.
Maybe the gun jams when he tries to fire it.
Maybe.
I thought it was just that he had no bullets left.
Well, he seemed to think he did. Otherwise, he went to fire, or, pulled the trigger, and then got, oh, shit, there's nothing happening.
Or he trusted John Travolta knew his guns, and he didn't.
Oh, good, someone was counting.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, yes, I do have only 1 bullet left."
Again, I'm not a gun expert, but I'm also pretty sure once you shoot the last bullet in a pistol, most of them, like, the top part stays back to let you know that there are no bullets left, I think. I don't know, though. That might only be on certain guns. Sure. I'm not a gun expert.
I do appreciate in this movie for how many bullets are being exchanged between people. They do very frequently show characters picking up other people's guns. Or, like, new guns, and, like, having more ammo rather than them just shooting the same guns that should have been empty a long, long time ago.
Well, I mean, in this scene here, when it gets to them where they're, like, pointing the guns at each other and they say that you have 1 bullet left, I wasn't counting John Travolta's bullets. It seems like he shot more and he should have reloaded, but I'm just going to trust the movie that he has 1 bullet left.
If he's, like, a cop, he probably had a clip on him, even if we didn't see him change it like we saw Nick Cage changing.
Probably, yeah. I don't know. But also in their tussle, they managed to turn on the jet engine, which is where, again, much like you, Kristen, I was like, oh, so they both get burned by the jet engine, and that's why they get face-offed. No,
yep.
Not the case.
They keep their faces on.
Nick Cage...
That'd be more boring.
Face on.
Face on. But they just live their normal lives with their normal faces.
And there's no movie.
Yep.
The movie ends after this part with him in the coma.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Face on.
We did it.
Face off, face on cut.
Nick Cage tries to invite John Travolta to terrorism, and then he goes on about the peach shit again, about his daughter, being like, she's ripe.
Yeah, it's super gross.
Stop.
And here's where, yes, Nick Cage tries to shoot, and it either jams or he has no bullets, and he's just like, whoops, uh-oh, don't shoot me, please.
I love that he immediately is just like, forehead to the barrel. Oh, you don't have to kill me. It's like a really fucked up power move. Like, Nick Cage does a lot of shit to just make him look really, really unreliable. It's really kind of good. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as he starts to go to his knees, we get a shot of him very obviously doing things with his hands behind his back. Mm-hmm. John Travolta, come on.
I like how in the subtitles, after he pulls the gun barrel to his head as well, it is, in brackets, half laughing, comma, half sobbing.
Yep.
I feel like a lot of the movies kind of like that.
Yeah, that's what I feel watching this movie.
John Travolta kicks the knife away and then kicks Nick Cage away as well into, I guess, the blowback of the jet engine, I guess?
Yeah, he hits another button to, like, really set it going, and it knocks him real far backwards. He ends up hitting, like, a fence that's kind of, like, grate-shaped, and if this were at the end of the movie, I was saying earlier, I would have been positive that he gets pushed through and cubed up into tiny pieces.
That would have been a way to end the movie.
Yeah, his face is, like, in a couple of different pieces now, so I guess it's off.
It's mostly off.
Yeah.
It's pretty much off. We're not going to count. But...
I mean, you could also count his hand off and his leg off and other such body parts off. He's just body off at this point, because they don't exist anymore.
Oh, God.
And I guess that's that. They catch him, and this is where I got really confused, because I was like, well, wait a minute, how are they going to face off? And we'll
How
get to
their
that.
faces get off?
We join family drama already in progress. John Travolta's daughter started a fight at school for somebody, what was it, making fun of her makeup?
Her clothing.
Her clothing.
Which I guess means her look in general. She goth.
She has gem tier makeup on, which she's got like face makeup, I guess.
Yeah, she basically has like eyeliner drawn on eyelashes, so she is a metaphor for the face-off. John Travolta has this whole thing where he's like, you change your clothes, you change your personality. Who are you?
And she goes,
She's like, I'm me.
And then classic misunderstood teen storms off to her room.
Okay, but I do really love the fact that the whole scene, like, is the mom saying, oh yeah, she was getting teased at school and whatever, and he comes in, he's like, oh, why? And we don't see the daughter's face for a long time, and then when she turns around and reveals this makeup, he just goes, oh, okay. Like, oh, yeah.
Now I know why.
Makes sense, alright.
It's like, you're a shitty dad, you're just mean.
The wife comes over and asks Eve, who I don't think I knew her name at this point, so I just put the wife. So John Travolta's wife, Eve, comes over and is just like, has Nick Cage was captured? Is it over? And he's just like, it's over. It was far from over.
Movie over. Oh, it's a Hummer.
So he's
Sing
saying...
my favorite note, John Travolta. Give me a lullaby.
So
Can
he's
we
saying...
call the wife Cindy?
No!
So he's saying he'll settle down now. He won't be married to his job anymore. He does the weird hand thing to her face at this point, which is I think this might be the first time that I wrote that in my notes, because I was just like, why did he do that to her? I thought that was just a weird thing that they did to the kid, but nope, he does it to everyone, and they do it to him and to every other subsequent family member, including children who are not part of their family.
Yeah. Complete strangers.
Yeah, that's the weirdest thing Jamie does. Like, all of a sudden, she's like, I'm in on it too, touch.
Yeah.
Oh yes, the daughter's name is Jamie, by the way. So that is her name. John Travolta gets back to his job, and everyone gives him a round of applause. The CIA sent a bottle of wine, and John Travolta's just like, what?
It's probably champagne.
What the fuck? Oh yeah, champagne. Probably.
Yeah, but so he sarcastically toasts all the people that they lost.
And everyone's looking around like, shucks, we just wanted to repress that.
Oh, man.
We forgot about the 20 people we lost. Maybe not everything's about your drama. Maybe we're just trying to have a good time, John Travolta.
Margaret Cho's like, God damn it.
Case closed. So that's what goes across of Castor Troy's face on Nick Cage's computer about the shooting death of his son. And I noticed, I'm pretty sure I didn't pause.
There's a keyboard shortcut that makes the case close. He hits like control something and that closes it.
Control C, and then he accidentally closes cases all the time because he wants to copy, and he closes cases by mistake.
Shit! Close and reopen. That's really embarrassing.
Oh, I noticed also the day that John Travolta's son was shot, it was very close to the day that I was born. So,
Whoopsie doopsie.
Special Ops wants to see John Travolta. They're here, and they found a floppy disk in the wreckage that belonged to Pollux.
It really is the 90s.
Floppy disks in 1997. I mean, I guess they were still around, right?
Oh, definitely. I was saving Harry Potter fanfiction on those.
Oh.
No.
Yeah. I actually probably well into the early 2000s thought floppy disks were still a thing. They were standard in school in like 2003.
Yeah. Especially like the ones that weren't paper thin, actually.
Yeah,
So.
like the chunky ones.
Oh,
Yeah.
no. The paper thin ones were gone by...
Because those were also the size of like vinyl records. Or maybe that's how big they were in my little kid memory.
No, yeah, they're the size of a bit bigger than a CD case, usually, I think. A bit
That
bigger.
seems right.
The disc contains all of the info on the bomb that was planted by the brothers. When Nick Cage was talking earlier during their confrontation, he said something cryptic about the bomb going off, too, that there was a bomb somewhere. Something about the plague to Los Angeles or some dumb shit like that John Travolta probably
Something
didn't even...
biblical.
Something biblical that he didn't even fucking pay attention to because he was too busy jamming a gun in his face.
Yep.
Pollux is being interrogated. He has all the info on the bomb, presumably, but he ain't giving that up. The only way Pollux would talk is if his brother were in the cage, and that ain't gonna happen, because he dead.
Movie over.
They just let the bomb blow up and it's over. That is when the special ops lady turns to John Travolta and goes, oh, but there is one possibility, and then in all capital letters I wrote face off.
Basically, Operation Face Off. If only they called it that.
He's brought to, what is it, the Walsh Institute or something like that? It's Dr. Walsh's place where they are keeping Castor Troy alive. However, he is in a coma. Dr. Walsh himself shows up at this point. He's like, I'm great at changing physical appearances. Look at this. Remember the guy that had his ear blown off that you probably weren't able to see? Well,
we're 3D printing him a new ear.
That's literally what they are doing. That is what they are doing.
That's gross. You get like a weird shot of an ear that is much too detailed of an ear printing already in progress.
It kind of grossed me out worse than the actual facing off part.
Really?
I didn't like that. I didn't like the ear. I don't know. It was creepy.
It just looked like a piece of plastic to me. I wasn't too concerned about it.
It was on like a weird like thing that looked like it might have been really thin skin. It reminded me of the lady from Doctor Who, who's just a big piece of skin with a mouth and eyes.
Ew.
But that with an ear on it. I didn't like it.
John Travolta looks completely confused as the concept of face-off is being explained to him, being told that he can become Castor Troy. And this is honestly... why?
Do you know John Travolta's reaction to the script of this movie?
He literally laughed in the doctor's face.
Yeah.
Why would anyone accept the proposition to become a fucking bad guy and only tell like 2 people about it?
You're the only one who can save these people from the bomb.
But John Travolta's like, you know what? I'll get the gang people to talk because that's what I do. I can handle it. And I was at this point, I'm like, yes, John Travolta. I'm glad you're at least. I'm glad your first reaction isn't like, I'm going to become Castor Troy. It's, I gotta try something else first because this is fucking stupid.
Fuck that plan.
Yeah. The special ops lady is basically like bullying John Travolta into it at this point too, because he's just like, no, it's the only way. If you don't get him to talk, what happens then? Look, think of all the people that'll
do it.
Think of all the people that'll die. You lived and breathed Castor Troy for so long. You know how he thinks, how he works.
He couldn't sit down and tell someone else. Like, oh, here are a few key things you could say to make the brother trust him.
So here's a few of the faults that I have with this movie, where I understand if it's like Sean Archer has been obsessed with catching Castor Troy for so long that he basically knows how Castor Troy works. So when he becomes him, he can at least be a passable Castor Troy. Mm-hmm. I get the feeling that Castor Troy has been doing so much stupid and weird shit with so many people that he probably doesn't give a fuck how Sean Archer thinks. So how is he able to be a passable Sean Archer?
Because there should not be a surgery that enables you to completely take over the visual identity of someone else. So if someone, like, if I suddenly started acting way different, you wouldn't think, that's not Kristen.
Yeah.
You would think, oh, I hope Kristen's okay. I hope that's what you would think.
And it doesn't help that Castor Troy as Sean Archer is kind of more charming than actual Sean Archer. So everyone's just like, oh, you're acting weird, but you're kind of acting better?
Yeah, you're kind of nicer than you were
before. I'm alright with this. Everyone's kind of really chill with it.
I guess that is how he gets away with it, but that's one of those things where I feel weird about it. Fuck.
Are you saying this movie is implausible?
I might be. We cut to John Travolta interrogating former associates of Castor Troy. One is Sasha, lady with a baby, who we will see later. She becomes important later, along with her brother Dietrich, who is a baldman, just a bald guy.
Do they specifically say that they're Russian?
Did they?
I mean, Dietrich and Sasha sound.
I never really thought about it, honestly.
Because the bomb thing had to do with Russians, right? The deal to buy it?
Honestly, I didn't listen.
Okay. Never mind.
So, maybe, sure. Yes, absolutely, unequivocally, yes.
I'm pretty sure they said something about the bomb being purchased from Russians.
I don't think they had anything to do with that, really.
Okay.
They kind of were just like a happy crime family.
Yeah. They're pretty nice people once you get to the other side of them.
I mean, other than the fact that they're brother and sister and they're like weird kissing on each other.
They only kissed the once.
Oh yeah, I brought that up to Madeline too. It still made me. Yeah,
it was a little weird.
It was a little bit weird. I mean, he was dying when it happened. Spoilers.
They also, they walked out. From the implication, I thought too, when they walked out, both of them, because they were interrogated one after the other, and then Dietrich also during the interrogation is like, "Hey, how's your dead son?" And then John Travolta puts a gun in his eye. But as
he flips out.
as they're walking away, they're like arm in arm, and I could have sworn Tito said something about like, oh, they're dating? Like, what? Like, oh, ew, what?
Yeah, I thought that he was Sasha's son's father, and then I was like, wait, no, they're brother and sister. I hope that's not the case, and then later it is confirmed that that is not the case.
Thank God.
Uh-huh.
Oof, God, yeah.
We don't need another weird element in this movie. There are enough.
I just figured with all the weird fucked up family dynamics, it was like they're probably just a regular family in this universe.
Yeah.
Where they're just kind of weird, they are just weird.
Unfortunately, there are normal families in our universe where, like, very close family members kiss each other on the mouth for some reason.
I refuse to kiss dogs on the mouth. I would not.
No.
No.
No, thank you.
Not family.
Well, you know what? It looks like all of the options are exhausted. John Travolta's with the special ops lady. He's like, so you're asking me I gotta break the law. I gotta risk my neck. I gotta put in the dark all of the people that I love and trust to get this information out of Pollux Troy. Damn it, I'll do it!
I gotta face the facts off.
Oh.
Boo!
Yeah!
Get out of this podcast.
Nope.
So we got to John Travolta arriving home. His wife is already asleep, but he wakes her up with hand on face. And to really drive it home, she's just like, I'm so glad that I won't be getting calls in the middle of the night saying that you're dead and that you'll be able to come home and greet your wife every night. And he's just like, oh, fuck.
Oh, this is gonna make this really awkward.
On the bright side, it doesn't take him too long to drop the bomb on her. He just does his best to soften it.
Yeah. He does a pretty good job of being a bad husband.
Yeah.
I mean, he could be worse. He's doing a lot of shitty things. He could definitely have done them worse.
He's just like a negligent husband. He's not like a trying to do bad things sort of husband.
Yeah, he's not completely unaware of the fact that he's doing something very stupid and that will hurt her feelings a lot.
He is only bad husband. He is not worse husband.
Yep, thank God.
Yep, he's got one last assignment that he needs to take care of, and she... Oh no, excuse me. He does the... Wait, do I have this? Okay, wait. Okay, I'm confused by my notes for a second here. She does the weird hand face thing to him, and then he does it back to her.
I think, yeah, they trade.
Yeah.
And then John Travolta tucks his teenage daughter into bed, and it's time to face off.
Wow!
Guitar. Face off.
Face off.
While he is in his, I was going to say scrubs. He's not technically wearing scrubs because he's the patient. But while he is wearing his patient clothing, he says to Dr. Walsh, after this is all over, give me back the scar that I have. It's a reminder. The bullet scar that he has.
Of my dead son.
Yeah, that kills his son.
So
Also-
we get that. He gives Tito his wedding ring as well and says, hold on to that for me, please.
Yep, which,
I
mean...
well, I didn't expect to be proposed like this today, but I'm in.
Yay!
It won't last long.
Yeah.
And here we get some laser cut face removal. I don't know, we didn't really explain the specifics of how it works. They use like a vacuum molded thing to take off the face, right?
It's the recipient's skull thing on the inside, and the outside is the face of the person they're getting, and they will just do a laser incision around the entire face, just suck it right off, slap it back on, seal it on, and everything's fine. And basically, it's supposed to work completely normal, and other than having, like...
With modern technology, it's supposed to heal perfectly.
Yeah, like...
And they just need to put a chip in to change his voice.
Yeah, imperceptible.
Because they're the right height and have the exact same eye color.
Yeah, they were
color.
making some shit. Oh, yeah, also they have to do, like, some weird hair shit of, like, oh, we're gonna cut your hair and...
Nick Cage is balding.
It's so much. Oh, God.
Joe, you seemed in your notes very surprised that their face got taken off.
Yes, because my next note is, oh, Jesus, they took his face off in all capital letters. Because, I mean, I knew, I knew that he was going to get face offed. I'm glad that they were pretty good about hiding the gross, skinless part of the face for most of the sequence. Like, they give you little peeks just to, like, gross you out a little bit. And then, I mean, we get a little more later.
Part of my issues, I was talking to Madeline about this with the weird, like, when we say that they did incision around the face,
they
take it off,
just
in a circle,
like they did like a Nick Cage cookie cutter.
Yeah,
just slapped it on.
There it goes, and off it comes. Like, your face is attached at more places than that, like beyond the muscle underneath it, keeping it like in place. Like, didn't they need to do incisions around the eyeballs, around the nostrils, around the mouth? Nope.
Face
See,
off.
Face off.
See, that's another problem that we'll come to in a bit, but again, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it because things get really gross later. But
oh yeah, but what I was going to say before I just got completely overwhelmed by this whole fucking concept, this whole disaster. Like, Nick Cage does not have the same face shape as John Travolta. So if you took his skin off and slapped it on, it would be horrifying for sure, but not really
stretch
good.
it, like, unstretch it out a little bit. If his
In
head is
different,
thinner,
in
right?
different dimensions. He's kind of got like an upside down triangle face, and John Travolta has a triangle face.
Because I know the thing they were saying about the plastic mask thing is, like, underneath that's your face. On top of it, the, like, little opaque parts of the plastic were just supposed to recreate the skeletal structure of the face. I know that doesn't help for the size of the head.
Because it's one of those things of like,
It's not real!
John Travolta would be walking around with this like embiggened Nick Cage. Like he would be a Nick Cage scaled up to like 1.25 size.
Like those
and it
creepy
would be
Halloween masks.
the worst thing on the planet. And I'm just like,
Like how Conan O'Brien used to wear his own Conan O'Brien mask.
oh, hashtag no sleep. Who wrote that one?
oh man, so this is also apparently a surgery that you can recover from in a night, basically. I mean, they
I
don't
think
tell
they
us
said a few days.
a few days. They don't tell us the passage of time, but
Yeah, we don't get a window into it, but earlier they said that recovery only takes a few days.
okay. I like how in the background while this procedure is going on, Tito is looking like, oh fuck, oh Jesus, oh fuck, because it is
We need to have a
really-
straight man in there somewhere.
Tito is just all kinds of fucked when it comes to this procedure. John Travolta has become Nick Cage, so from now on, when we say Nick Cage, we are talking about Sean Archer and not Castor Troy. He gets all freaked out when he sees Castor Troy in the mirror, and he grabs the thing and starts fucking breaking it, going, "Fuck you! Fuck you!"
Fuck you! It's
Great because it's dubbed, because it's still John Travolta's voice, so everything sounds terrible.
We have yet to go over the voice chip thing that he has. John Travolta also has Nick Cage at this point also has the line of, "When this is over, I want you to take this face off and burn it." And yeah, here we have the thing with the microchip in the larynx, which makes him sound like Nick Cage. They spend a good 3 minutes trying to match his voice to Nick Cage's voice through the computer.
For some reason, they use the line about eating a peach for hours.
Oh,
I bet
that's right.
that's the best one they got off of Winters, I guess.
That's right. They have the recording of Nick Cage saying he could eat a peach for hours, and that's his test sentence, and that's amazing.
Yeah, that's what they make John Travolta. I'm sorry, hang on.
This is gonna be a problem.
My problem is I keep forgetting the John Travolta character's name.
Sean Archer.
Sean Archer. It's the last name I keep forgetting, and I feel weird calling him Sean because I'm not his friend. It's too formal. He's an adult.
Please, Mr. Archer was my father. Call me Sean.
I never finished my thought also, so they make Archer have the guy repeat a creepy thing the guy who killed his son said.
Yeah.
So,
Like, all of this is really, really
he's
not good
so
for his mental health.
traumatized this whole movie.
Yeah.
Tito is the only guy on the force who knows about this. The only people that know are what? Dr. Walsh, the special ops lady, and Tito, right?
Yep. Yes.
Okay. Which is also a bad idea considering what happens later, but we'll get to that.
I was saying, yeah, like they should have had so many more fail-safes in place for this, or at least someone watching Castor.
Yeah.
Anyone.
Having him in any sort of single room or
Handcuff his comatose body to the bed.
a room with a door on it that they can lock behind them
Yeah.
sometimes. Like anything.
And he
They
doesn't have
don't
access-
They
doesn't-
literally just have him wander around.
They didn't even keep him alive to like keep John Travolta's face warm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at first I thought that they were switching the faces immediately and they were going to put Archer's face onto Castor, and
Yeah,
I couldn't reconcile that. And I
thought-
was like, that's
I thought
really
that too,
stupid. So
but
I'm
yeah.
glad they don't do that.
Right. So Nick Cage now finds himself at a prison. Sean Archer does. I said at first that it was an interrogation room, and it reminds me of the one from the 2006 Casino Royale. Is that when that movie did that movie come out 10 years ago? Holy fuck.
I've never seen
No
it.
idea.
Wow. Well,
No
there's,
idea.
there's a scene where Daniel Craig is in an interrogation room, and the bad guy has like a rope knot thing that he keeps slamming up through the bottom of the chair that he is sitting in, so it keeps smacking his nuts.
Great. No wonder everyone likes James Bond so much.
Here he is at Erewhon Prison, which is actually, if you take a look, it is an anagram of nowhere.
Oh. Did you like read that somewhere, or did you
That was on
uncover that little gem yourself?
that was on IMDb from
Yeah, I
something.
had a feeling.
The Geneva Convention is apparently void in this prison, and he's fitted with, like, magnet boots, because every inch of the floor is, like, magnetized, or every inch of the prison is magnetized. Why doesn't he try walking on the walls?
You're saying
then?
that the weird future prison is actually pretty cool if it weren't for the fact that everyone is treated very, very badly there.
Yeah.
Yeah. We see there's, like, at the mess hall or wherever they're fucking standing in line at this next part here, there's, like, a bunch of TV screens showing the Nature Channel.
Like the Brady Bunch.
So an inmate at the prison greets Nick Cage, and Nick Cage almost immediately blows his fucking cover, because it's just like, oh, you're that criminal that I that Sean Archer busted that one time.
And, like, he could have bounced back from that and, like, just changed the sentence he was going to say entirely, but by saying, like, oh, you're the one that Sean Archer bust, like, he fucked everything up.
Yeah.
Like, how do you fuck it up
Did
so
no
bad?
one prepare him for the fact that he was supposed to be pretending to be Castor? Does he know that's the plan?
He also threatens to kill this inmate. It's 'cause I don't know why exactly he does it. It's just like, so I heard you got wasted, and then Nick Cage turns and is just like, I'll show you wasted, little man, and then everybody goes, ooh, and then that starts a fight.
I'll show you wasted, soft boy. And then, yeah, I guess he's trying to establish, like, prison dominance or something.
I think he also thinks this is how Castor used to, like, behave. Which, I mean, probably a little bit, but he doesn't really get into the role.
Yeah,
for
he's
a
not
little bit.
as charismatic as he should be.
It takes him a little while to get into the, oh no, I need to make crazy eyes and just be intimidating, not the whole, like, I'm gonna actually beat you up because I have anger issues.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I wrote this at the time of that this starts the prison fight. What it actually is another guy that he's looking at, Dubov, who is important later, starts the prison fight by just kind of like double axe handling Nick Cage in the back of the head. And the guards sit by. We see that they can stop this fight at basically any time, but the guards just kind of sit back and let them beat the fuck out of each other. Him and Pollux exchange glances as well, and as he's getting beat up, he does a crazy Nick Cage smile at him, and there's like a rock guitar sting, like a when he does it.
Yep. It's really fun to watch Nick Cage attempt to look like he is trying out a crazy Nick Cage face.
It's amazing. Like, oh my god. That's the best. It's the best part of this movie when Nick Cage is pretending to be someone else, pretending to be a bad impression of himself.
Yes.
Like, how do you even quantify?
So many layers, such a good actor. So he starts beating up Dubov at this point. He's getting the upper hand, and he just keeps going, I'm Castor Troy. I'm Castor, like he's trying to get people to chant it with him, kinda. He also, at this point...
Method acting!
Looks like he keeps going in between, like going, I'm Castor Troy. Like, a wave of emotion.
Yeah, the one time when he brings his hands up to his face, I wrote down, the face is haunted!
And the sad part is, like, he's clearly having a mental breakdown, but this is also probably the closest he's gotten to being Castor Troy.
Yeah.
A wave of emotions are going over him at this point, and you gotta feel for Nick Cage at this point. Sean Archer, Nick Cage.
Yeah, for like the next half hour, he has a really, really bad time.
Well, starting with what happens next here. Well, also, so the fight ends before Nick Cage kills Dubov, and I think that might be one of the other things that might clue Pollux into the fact that Nick Cage is not Nick Cage. I think, maybe.
He's definitely suspicious for, like, nearly the entire time, and, like, once the reveal happens, he's not surprised at all.
Yeah. So, here it comes. Maybe my favorite sequence in the movie? I'm not certain. We cut to faceless Nick Cage. He wakes up, pulls off his bandages.
He sits up like he, like, left the oven on or something.
There is still blood on his, like, fresh blood. He goes to touch his face, and there is fresh blood on his faceless face. And it is at this point that, so you know how, like, air feels when touching an open wound, like, at all?
Yeah, that's his whole face.
That is his whole...
feel good.
That is his whole face right now, and he just doesn't seem terribly perturbed, although he does stand up, walks over to, for some reason they leave John Travolta's face, like, in the window where he could see it.
Yeah, like it's a museum and it's a display case.
And I believe in the subtitles there's things like gurgling and demonic laugh and things like that as he's walking over, just going...
Yeah, he does make a noise kind of like... which was really good.
And he manages to get his hands on a phone to make an outbound call to some guy who will be able to help him deal with this situation. I wrote it. I mean, we see later that he does have eyelids. I assume that he did not have eyelids at this point too, which would make this like 100 times worse.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we cut to some dude arriving with a stolen Dr. Walsh. We're only seeing Nick Cage from behind at this point as well. We are not seeing his skinless face. And he is also smoking, which sounds like the worst thing you could do to something when you have no skin.
I don't think you want smoke in those wounds either.
I don't think you want to hold anything with your weird skinless lips that you shouldn't have.
No.
Like, oh.
Oh, God.
You should probably just be drinking water and praying.
Yeah, right?
Like,
There are several points in my notes where the only note that I have is just typing out,
yeah. It is pretty gruesome the first time you watch it.
Oh,
I will
yeah.
not lie. It's kind of really interesting to look at when you know what to expect.
When you're ready for the shock.
Yeah.
He's watching a video of Dr. Walsh's surgical process and things like that, and I guess he kind of hand waves the fact that he has no skin on his face by just being like, so hey, I got into your painkillers, so don't worry about the fact that I don't have skin on my face right now.
I'm doing alright because I'm high as hell.
We have occasional cuts of the faceless Nick Cage, like only like 1 second of a cut, and he starts approaching Dr. Walsh, and let me just go through my notes here of, the cuts of faceless Nick Cage, please no, the reflection, I guess he does have eyelids.
So he is approaching the doctor, who is like, I don't know, I guess he sees skinless faces constantly, so he's not exactly concerned with any of this. And the doctor sounded kind of bored. It's like, what do you want? And faceless Nick Cage's reflection is like, take a fucking guess, bro. I would like a face on.
So we cut back to the prison. Pollux meets up with Troy. Actually, is this where, I don't think I wrote down the note, where the initial prisoner from before, who Nick Cage threatened to waste.
This is one who sounds like Tootsie Noodles from Starship by Team Starcade, which is just like from Farm Planet.
Yeah.
Him and Pollux are talking, and Pollux mentions something about the stuff on the Nature Channel being really erotic. What the fuck?
Yeah, sure.
He says something about like, oh, they should show us the salmon swimming upstream because that's been proven to be like erotic for humans. And he's just like, if they show me one more fucking waterfall, I'm gonna die.
But yeah, this is where Castor comes back in, Nick Cage, and Pollux is not really having much of it. He's clearly like, damn, Nick Cage, are you Nick Cage? What kind of medications did I take, huh? What was it like being in that movie with Cher? Huh? You want to tell me about that? How was Moonstruck? I want to know. I love Cher.
Luckily, Nick Cage had all the right answers to these questions. Yes, I'm Nick Cage. You took this thing I can't remember the name of. And Cher is awesome.
Clearly the only answer, of course. Cher is awesome.
Of course. If I could turn back time. I would not be in that movie.
Nick Cage is just trying to play it off at this point that oh no, I'm acting different because I was in a coma. My memory sucks. My reflexes suck. I'm like a totally different person because I was in a coma. Please.
I think that's an okay excuse.
Yeah, honestly, I would buy that.
Yeah.
I mean, Pollux doesn't, but
yeah,
tells him where the bomb is anyway.
He does. Yeah, you're right. He also informs him that Dubov, who I referred to in my notes as Big McLarge Huge, because I didn't know his name yet, attacked Nick Cage because apparently on the night that Dubov went into prison, Nick Cage had a three-way with his wife and his sister, which seems very, very...
Both of them were like, that is a good reason for him to be angry, now that we're talking about it.
And yeah, here's where Nick Cage tries to be casual about the bomb. Like, hey, so how about we're gonna blow up LA, bro? How about it? How about that bomb? How about that great bomb? How about that great bomb that we set up that I don't know where it is? How about you?
Where? Tell me where the bomb. It's a game. Tell me where the bomb is. Truth or dare? Truth. Where's the bomb?
Of course I know where it is. I'm just checking to make sure that you remember where it is.
Seriously, come on. I'll give you a swirly, Big Brother.
And Pollux lets it slip that it is at the LA Convention Center, and here is when Nick Cage drops the Nick Cage act, and he's just like, haha, you're pathetic. Ha 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 ha.
Haha, you dumb piece of shit. But then it turns out it is Nick Cage who is a dumb piece of shit.
Because because someone arrives to visit Nick Cage, and who could it be? It's it's John Travolta.
Holy shit. Whoopsie doopsie. You left your face behind.
And honestly, this is the moment where John Travolta starts to pull his weight in the movie, because his character was kind of like a sad sack, and he was really not that interesting to watch, and suddenly, oh, he's very interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Because John Travolta pretending to be Nick Cage, pretending to be John Travolta is interesting, but John Travolta given free rein to pretend to be Nick Cage only, oh, it's a lot.
Yep.
It's a good stuff.
We're getting there.
It's so good.
And here's when we get the reveal that it is, in fact, now Nick Cage as John Travolta, as Castor Troy as Sean Archer.
I think the description for this for this podcast will have to be fucking John Travolta as Nick Cage as John Travolta as Nick Cage as John Travolta as Nick Cage as John Travolta.
Just stick with us. It'll get easier.
This point where they're just exchanging glances at each other, I was laughing the entire time because it's just so fucking stupid.
It's so good.
All of a sudden, John Travolta is wearing like this menacing face, like, ignore how high my voice is. I'm here to fuck you up, bitch.
It's like looking in a mirror, only not. And John Travolta now recants the tale of how he burned down the Walsh Institute with all of the people who knew about the mission, which I don't think I saw the special ops lady there. She must have been
she
there.
was.
Okay.
She was just dousing gasoline, so she looked a little bit different.
He burned down the entire place, and then he shows off the wedding ring as well, which he means that, that means that Tito's gone. R.I.P. Tito.
Aww. Nick Cage does well this next half hour of the movie, where he's just completely traumatized all over again. He is really not happy.
It's a really bad time.
You're really having a bad time. Then yeah, because even the next thing, John Travolta just comes right in, and he's just like, so hey, Nick Cage, I'd love to stay, but I got stuff to do. Got a lonely wife to fuck. Oh, excuse me. Make love to.
So here's the thing. This is no different than that scene from Revenge of the Nerds where the one nerd pretends to be the jock and has sex with his girlfriend. This is exactly the same thing.
There's a bit more science behind this version rather than wearing a Darth Vader mask, but...
Yeah. But guess what? It's fucked up either way.
It is. You're right. Both ways are. That's the thing. This is John Travolta's a bad guy in this movie. Revenge of the Nerds. That's supposed to be a good guy thing that happened.
Yeah. Fuck that. I've never seen Revenge of the Nerds.
It was on Netflix and I watched it and it was okay. I don't remember much of it. So also that comment about fucking his wife is enough to send Nick Cage over the edge, and he starts choking him. And is at this point that he does a few times in this movie, Nick Cage does a really strained, die!
Please, God! By the end of the movie, it makes more sense, because he tries so hard the whole time to kill him. Yeah. And he's like, will you just please stop? Please, stop!
And, yeah, so that doesn't bode well with the guards, so they take care of that. Now, we cut back to John Travolta. He is driving to his home, arriving just as his wife is leaving the house, and he also drives directly past the house.
He overshoots it a little bit, and only knows that that's where he's supposed to be because Eve is staring at him like, you just drove past our fucking house, asshole.
And he tries to play it off too, like he backs up and just, brings his sunglasses down and smirks.
Sally does not know Eve is mad at him.
And he's really persistent with the word peach again, where he's just like, so hey, you're my peach, Eve. Hey, how's it going?
Please stop!
He's trying to get his fuck on immediately too, because he's just like, oh no, you gotta go to work. No, don't do that. Don't have responsibilities. Let's let me get out the fucking Barry White. Let's do this thing.
Bone Zone. Let's take it to Bone Town. Come on.
Nick Cage's character in this, Castor Troy, seems like the kind of guy who would use a Bone Zone or Bone Town.
Yeah, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, that was pretty spot on characterization for me.
If this movie were made in the 2000s.
You know what he would use definitely?
What?
Pound Town. Oh. See, it's because it's true. Feels icky. That's why it's icky.
So Eve heads off to work, and then I have the note here: if Nick Cage John Travolta tries to fuck John Travolta's daughter, I am done with this movie.
I read that on the screen, and I thought for a moment that I lost my fucking mind. John Travolta is written too many times in succession. I'm going crazy.
That is how I try to specify for the characters the act. Wait a minute. I gotta try to figure this out myself here. Wait a second. All right, if Nick Cage, the character as John Travolta, tries to fuck John Travolta...
No! Stop trying to explain it. It is way too much.
If Castor Troy as Sean Archer tries to fuck Sean Archer's daughter. You are done.
Yeah, there are a lot less words in that version.
Yeah.
Well, it's one less name. I think my version is still good too.
There's something very, very like disorienting about the name John Travolta.
It's like a secret code that activates madness.
Oh, it's like a missing H.P. Lovecraft story about the name. The name that must not be spoken because it fucking awakens some sort of elder god. John Travolta, John Travolta, John Travolta.
Just like Bloody Mary. Don't say that in a mirror. John Travolta will come and he'll lick your face.
Oh, God! No!
Oh, and at this point we see the daughter in the underwear too, and he goes...
As if he weren't upset enough.
He goes, the plot thickens.
And she hears that! Or, like, she hears something. Clearly she didn't hear that, because otherwise she would have been like, what?
If I heard an adult man, let alone my father, say that anywhere near me, I would go, whoa.
Well, to be fair, she's on the phone, and she continues to be on the phone. She's like, oh, hang on a second. And she turns around, and she just tries to close the door in his face.
Yeah.
Just
typical teen behavior.
True.
And he calls her the wrong name at first, too. He calls her Janie, and then he looks over. Thank God there was a pillow on her bed that said Jamie.
And yeah, and she goes like, pardon me? And he goes, Jamie. I nailed it that time.
Then he does a thing where he, like, gets weirdly close to her to get a cigarette.
He has, like, a face version of a hover hand.
Just to get a cigarette, and it's all very uncomfortable. And then he blows smoke rings in her face. We forgot to mention she has the James Brown staple, Papa's got a brand new bag, going in the background, to which John Travolta comments on with a smirk. And could a more apropos song have been played in the background here?
Because her father also has a brand new bag.
Called Nick Cage.
Called Nick Cage.
Mm-hmm.
Famed bag. Nick Cage.
I don't think he would turn that title down, honestly.
Oof, that's rough for him.
Either I'm famed bag, Nick Cage.
I'm gonna put that on my resume, right next to New Wave Space Cadet.
So we cut to Nick Cage already in progress. Apparently Pollux is being released because John Travolta's already pulling his weight around. He cut a deal so that if Pollux trades information, he's free and shit like that. And it's pretty clear at this point that Nick Cage ain't having a good time. He is definitely he's on a downward slope, or possibly just a constant 90-degree downward motion.
And next time the next couple of times we see him, he looks like he's on the verge of tears.
So we cut back to John Travolta being at work. The higher-up, Lazaro, I think, is on his ass about accepting a deal with Pollux. They said Lazaro a few times. I didn't realize who it was until much later in the movie.
It took me a while, too. I didn't notice, like, the guy with the white hair just kind of hanging out.
Yeah, he's the kind of guy who's just like, you're a damn good cop, but you're a loose cannon. Except John Travolta's like the head of a fucking anti-terrorist group, so I don't even know who the fuck that guy he's answering to.
It's a little bit more than a loose cannon.
Yeah. Pollux ain't talking as well, so John Travolta has to fucking go into the room, turn off the camera, turn off the microphone, and reveal the master plan to Pollux that he is, in fact, Nick Cage, and that he's going to be an American hero and defuse the bomb at the LA Convention Center, which is worth way more than the $10 million that they didn't get paid to plant it.
I mean, honestly, that's a pretty decent plan.
Yeah, better, and more interesting than just letting the shit all blow up.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I mean, Nick Cage is really embracing the role of John Travolta here. In his new life, and trying to be... Could it have ended up any more in his favor, where he's the head of a fucking anti-terrorism squad, and he has all this information on terrorists everywhere?
Yeah.
Seems like it was a pretty good trade-up for him.
Mm-hmm. The only downside is now he's not as handsome, according to his brother, which is like, you.
Okay. Take your word for it.
He says, oh, well, I guess I'm the only one with the looks now, huh? And she's like, neither you are. I mean, none of this. None of this is really working for anybody. You're trying your best, though, and that's what counts.
So we cut back to the LA Convention Center at this point, and I have that we have the appearance of two Fat Man from Metal Gear Solid 2 people, just people wearing big bomb suits.
Yep. Fat Man making another appearance on the podcast, and now suddenly he does have something to add to the party.
And they're saying, like, oh, we can't defuse the bomb. We got to get out of here. Well, too bad, because guess what? Guess who can? Guess who can defuse the bomb?
Yeah, I don't think it's diffusing if you just turn it off because you have a password.
He also does it with 2 seconds left. He fucks up his code the first time, too, because he's just like, wait a minute. And he's not panicked at all while this is happening. Like, if he entered his password
cool
wrong...
as a cucumber.
If he entered his password wrong again, he would have been fucked. It would have been over.
Living life on the edge and things all work out, I guess. Also, the counter on that bomb was very strange because the portion with the seconds went over 60.
Huh.
Yeah. At some point, I think it shows it in the 90s, and it just looks weird.
No, maybe it was upside down. Who knows? So now, John Travolta's a big hero. They're showing it even. They're showing CNN, like, in the prison where Nick Cage is. And
to shame the prisoners, I guess.
To be like, hey, remember this guy who caught all you? Look what he did now. Ha ha ha. And as he's being interviewed by CNN, he's just like, I don't know who set this bomb. We have a good idea. So if you're out there, and he like turns and mugs at the camera.
It's so good. He just whips around like, hey, interception.
So John Travolta gets back to the office, everybody's clapping, and he's reveling in it this time, and he's like, oh, thank you, I'd like to thank the little people who helped me out here.
Woo! So they're happy that he is not being a downer, but nobody died in this mission, so who knows how actual John Travolta would have handled it.
Yeah, really, and I like the little exchange where Margaret Cho is like, so hey, John Travolta, do you have a surgery? And John Travolta's just like, before she's just like, oh yeah, did you get the stick out of your ass? Ha 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 ha. Oh, Margaret Cho.
Oh, you're fired.
So he gets a call from both the president and his wife, and he says, hey, tell the president to hold.
Just like kind of fucking romantic.
Yeah, right? Too bad it's not his fucking wife.
Yeah.
Too bad he immediately grabs a lady's ass.
That too.
Yeah, that too.
Report that. HR. HR!
Sexual harassment, national scandal, defusal expert uses hands for evil. Grabbing ladies' asses.
Yeah.
So we cut to Eve arriving home to a very romantic setting. There's fucking candles everywhere.
Way too many food for two people.
Lobster dinner.
They're definitely going to burn their house down.
Oh yeah, way too many candles.
Like candles next to the curtains, candles next to vases full of flowers.
Candles in rooms they're not occupying.
Yeah, candles that they have turned their backs to, like hundreds of candles.
Do not need that many candles.
How do you even own that many candles?
He went to like Bed Bath & Beyond and picked them up on the way over.
Jesus.
The first thing that came to mind for me was Yankee Candle, but that would have been way too expensive.
Also, that house would have been like fumigated.
Oh God, I can't walk past the Yankee Candle kiosk at the mall without holding my breath.
I love it. I love being overwhelmed by all those smells.
It sucks. It
It's
smells like
knock
every
me out.
It's every smell all combined. All of it smells like chemicals and wax.
Linen, pine, cinnamon, sea breeze. Give it all. Shove it up my nose.
Eve's really mad, but it seems like that they have sex anyway, or they're probably going to.
They cut away tastefully, which I appreciate so much.
Yeah, no, very
Did
true.
not need a sex scene in this movie.
No, we do not. And I mean, I guess there is the implication there, and then Eve saying later that they lived as husband and wife for a week.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's kind of like their subtle way of saying, like, yo, I had to fuck that guy. So,
like American Horror Story season 1, but without the latex suit.
Oh God, yeah.
Too deep a reference for me.
Yeah, from the first season of a very popular television show, Joe.
Also a very strange reference, I'm sure, to listen to when you have not seen that show.
True. Boning and a latex full body suit involved.
It was ghosts.
And ghosts. Ghost sex. Ghost pregnancy. Ghosts.
Demons.
Demons.
Demon baby. God, that show is bad and
I think
weird.
you would like American Horror Story, Joe. It's just stupid enough.
So we cut to, it's Nick Cage. He's plotting a way to escape. He asks the guy who he was talking to before, the guy that he told to waste to. He said his name. I didn't write it down because I don't give a shit.
Farm Planet.
Farm Planet Man. It's just like, hey, how do I get out of here? And it's just like, you don't. Well, all right. So how do I get these boots off? The only time that they take them off is when you get they like super shock you or something. I assume that it meant that
I
they
think
were
it's
like
shock therapy.
trying to like lobotomize them or something. But
It's a very weird representation of shock therapy, I think.
Yeah. So
Because it looks like they're trying to execute them.
Yeah, that's clearly not what's happening.
So Nick Cage walks over to one of the guards and is just like, so hey, you got a cigarette? And then this causes the guards to start beating the fuck out of him. He manages to get a cigarette while he's getting the fuck beat out of him, and as he's being carried away, to the delight of the prisoners, just like, anybody got a light? Anybody got a light?
Need a light! I need a light!
I'm like, anybody got a light? In that moment, like, thinking if this were either Michael Douglas or Jean-Claude Van Damme, that would not have worked. That scene that exchange, that whole anybody got a light situation wouldn't have worked. But with Nick Cage, it felt kind of almost normal.
I think that was a pretty cool scene.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Which one, talking about Michael Douglas and Jean-Claude Van Damme, which one was supposed to be which? Because I
have no idea.
Jean-Claude
I don't
Van
think they got
Damme
that far.
Playing Castor Troy doesn't seem correct, but Michael Douglas being a crazy bad... I don't know. Is this one of those things where now Nick Cage did such a good job being the bad guy, or John Travolta did such a good... It doesn't matter, because they'd play each other. Fuck it. I don't care.
I have no idea, though, to answer your question. As far as I know, they both were just, like, in the running for it and backed out.
Well, alright, so yep, we cut to now, it's Dubov getting shock therapy. It is the dude from before, and he's, like, throwing all up over himself and shit, and it definitely looks like not a good time.
Bad prison.
Bad prison. They also kind of throw him to the side without putting his shoes back on, because I assumed he was dead, too, first of all, but he's not.
Just dazed. And if someone is just puking, you don't lay them on their back. Come on.
Yeah,
Lay them on their side, choke to death, or in their own puke. Like on Breaking Bad.
Aww. Bad time.
Which I haven't seen.
I didn't even know.
Episode.
I forgot about... I watched Breaking Bad, and I forgot about that until right now, when you just said it.
That's one of the only episodes I've seen.
So Nick Cage is getting strapped into the chair, and he asks one of the guards, hey, can you give me a light? And for some reason, the guard's like, yeah, whatever, fuck it. And lights a cigarette for him, which if he didn't light the cigarette, Nick Cage would have gotten shock treatment and probably might have died, correct?
Yeah.
Or at least been shocked and unhappy. I don't know how they expected. I guess it was just a funny thing for the guards, because he would not have been able to smoke that cigarette while getting shocked.
It would have fallen out of his mouth and maybe set his jumpsuit on fire.
Yeah, let's not do that.
As well as Nick Cage is getting strapped in, he looks over to Dubov and he's just like, so hey buddy, I know I may have had a sex sandwich with your lady friend and, you know, your sister. I didn't actually do that, but, you know, I know that your wife loves you, and I know that she's very sorry, so can you help me here? And what if Dubov was fucking dead? Why, like, because he helped a lot to get him out of the situation, too.
Yeah, things worked out. And that's the movie.
Yep.
Things work out.
And
The movie where he starts burning the cigarette on a dude's hand, and then him and Dubov start. We get big action sequence number 2 of the movie. Did I skip one? Are we on 3 or are we on 2?
no, this is number 2.
Yeah.
Big action sequence number 2 of the movie. Dubov and Nick Cage escaping Erewhon prison. There's a firefight. There's one of the guards who gets shot does... now, we all know the Wilhelm scream. This one is labeled as the Howie scream, which I don't know if that evokes anything when you hear Howie scream. I don't know if I could do an impression myself, but it's the one where it's like that scream. That one.
Howie like Howie Mandel?
I have no idea why it's called the Howie scream.
That's the only Howie I know. Yeah, Dubov gets stabbed in the leg while they're trying to escape. Does not go down. Man, the getting stabbed in the leg doesn't really slow people down too much. Just kind of staggers them for a minute in this movie. Lots of railing kills.
Lots of railing kills, I noticed. Yeah, I only started checking out, like, Dubov railing kills a guy and then nearly gets railing killed himself, but I think there were a lot more before that.
Yeah, at some point, Dubov does get pushed over the railing right in front of where the big screen, or not even big screen TV, many TVs stacked on top of each other are, and he catches him on the barrel of a gun, and him holding, like, the butt of the gun butt, as it were, and tries to help him, but he falls and dead.
Yeah, and poor Dubov, because he risked everything to just fucking get Nick Cage out of prison. Damn.
Sad.
Oh, also, at least you could see that he's still trying to be, like, cop-ish, because when Dubov, like, corners some people with a gun, he goes, Dubov, no! And lets them escape.
Yeah, when he has to shoot people, I think you see him shoot someone, like, in the back of the leg.
Yeah, just in not lethal places most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
which is good, because otherwise you would be like, what the fuck is the motivation here if he's just wasting people to get out of prison?
So Nick Cage gets out of the prison to, he does a little, like, when he sees the sunlight, like he's going out of the vault for the first time, and it is in the middle of the fucking ocean on an oil rig, and when he realizes...
he's like, no!
When he realizes this fact, yes, he's just like, ugh!
Are you kidding me? You have written that there's several helicopters? I think there's just one.
I thought there were 2. I feel like the editing made it look like there were 2, but I think there might just be 1, yeah, where...
Oh, a very well-maneuvering helicopter.
Yeah, they managed to scramble a helicopter almost immediately to start, like, shooting at him. Nick Cage just jumps into the ocean from the top of a fucking oil rig.
And he lives.
As we all know, the ocean, totally fine to jump into from a big, long distance, and his legs aren't completely broken when he hits the water, not at all.
I was so happy when they addressed that in Stranger Things. Like, it was just, like, brief flavor text about it, so you know it's dangerous.
Yeah, no.
And it made me feel happy. It's like, thank you.
It's nice.
Like, don't encourage people to do, like, fun summer jump off a cliff into water. No. They're gonna break their legs.
Yeah.
So we cut back to John Travolta at this point. Today happens to be his dead son's birthday, and since Nick Cage doesn't know about that, he... like, I feel like this should have been a fucking dead giveaway. I mean...
Oh, yeah.
But Joe, you can't just switch someone's face.
You can't just take someone's face off.
No, that would be ridiculous.
That's impossible.
So not with our modern sciences of electromagnets in prisons.
Absolutely not. This is 1997. Anything's possible. Were the Spice Girls still around? I don't know, but I feel like they would tell me that anything's possible.
So yeah, they're at the graveyard, and John Travolta's just kind of being like, as the wife is like breaking down crying, like, he took our boy. Oh, he took our boy.
Oops, that was me. Oops.
Oopsie doopsie.
And then he gets the report that Castor Troy died trying to escape from Erewhon prison. And since they don't have the same blood type, this may cause a problem because, you know, I mean, we see this show up later as well. Because, yeah, that was one of the things that they... Obviously, you're not turning into that person, so you're still going to have your blood type with, what was it? Castor Troy's AB and John Travolta's O?
Castor Troy's AB.
AB.
All right, well, there we go. So yeah,
I just totally started thinking, if they're different blood types, would that affect whether or not they could trade faces?
Fuck yes, it would. I thought so. You cannot do... You can't do any sort of transplant if you don't have, like, matching. Like, your body will reject it. Absolutely.
Man.
But it's, wouldn't it just, it's basically just like a super advanced, like, skin graft kind of thing, though, right?
It's
Is
like
that the same thing?
Big facial temporary tattoo.
Just
Super temporary, because if you stick it on for too long, it might fall the fuck off.
Yeah, we didn't see this, but the way that they adhered the face was by putting a wet washcloth on top of his face and just pressing down.
They licked the back of its top.
Is that how you did it? That's unsanitary.
No, it also didn't work very well.
Oh, I'm not surprised. Your caveman method.
John Travolta just walks in with half of Nick Cage's face, and it's like, how's it going, everybody? Doesn't even realize what happened. That's what you get.
It's stuck on the paper.
I'm just imagining them with like a unicorn or like cool skull with flame temporary tattoos all over their faces during this movie.
It actually kind of wouldn't change the mood.
No, I think they could do the movie the exact same way with temporary tattoos everywhere.
John Travolta starts like freaking out too because he knows that if they find the body, it's probably going to be a problem, and they're going to realize that it's going to blow his fucking cover. And
but he's also pretty certain that he's just alive.
Yeah, because I mean, we don't see how Nick Cage gets back to LA from the fucking oil rig, but he does.
Swims real good.
Why would you put the oil rig prison within swimming distance of the shore? Just curious.
Why is there an oil rig off the coast of Los Angeles so close in the first place?
Prison.
Yep.
Prison. It's like Alcatraz, but an oil rig.
Yeah, because those are the same. And can function the same at the same distance.
Nick Cage, we see, yes, alive and well, steals a car from somewhere, just some valet place, and then goes outside the hospital where his wife works, and he understands, like, he also tries to, like, not have his voice sound like Nick Cage's when he's calling in, but for some reason he can't.
Well, it shows him kind of, like, knocking himself in the chest, right?
Something like it makes his voice sound like all staticky and shit, and it doesn't work. So I mean, it's only a micro.
So the phone call does not go great.
I don't know. Yeah, whatever. It doesn't change anything. So he tries to call his wife, and it's just like, your husband's not your husband. Take Jamie and get the fuck out of there. And she's just like, never call me again, and hangs up.
Yeah. You know what? That's what I would kind of react to.
It's, again, you know, Eve acts usually pretty rationally in the movie, I think, given the situation that she's presented with.
She's a trooper. She does a very good job of, like, believing people at a point in which it would make sense to start believing them and being just generally, like, not into this.
She has way more agency than you would think the wife of a character in a movie like this would have.
Yeah.
So Eve doesn't believe him at all, understandably so. The next step is to try and call Lazaro, his higher up, but I guess Lazaro is either doing something different or something else. I don't know. We forgot to mention that during the dinner between John Travolta and Eve, he mentioned something about the conversation with the president being like, well, I'll let Lazaro know that Sean Archer is gunning for his job, but I don't think
basically.
But he doesn't actually get his job. I guess Lazaro is out, so John Travolta is the one who answers the phone, and then they don't really say much.
Big man.
They don't really say much to each other. It's just like, so hey, this is Sean Archer, and then Nick Cage goes, if this is Sean Archer, then I'm Castor Troy, and that's it.
And then he hangs up.
So I guess his next step
Intimidation call.
It's a bit less intimidating than the call from Taken.
Just a little bit. They haven't gotten that technology yet.
The technology to say, I will find you and I will kill you.
Yep. I have a certain set of skills. Mostly making creepy faces.
Is that Liam Neeson's big skill, or are you talking about Nick Cage?
I thought you were going to ask me if that was my Liam Neeson impression at first, and I was going to say yes, it was, absolutely. And it was Nick Cage.
John Travolta, Nick Cage at this point thinks that the best course of action is to go to the old associates that he interrogated earlier in the movie. So we find him just kind of finding Dietrich. Dietrich's talking to some guy who he's selling drugs to, I guess. He's just like, oh, look at that. It's Castor Troy, you son of a bitch. You great guy. How about you come into the party? We got a party going. Did you bring Fat Man?
Yeah, get something ready to party. And he brings him his box full of guns and chiclets and drugs.
Yep.
And then they do some drugs.
And some chiclets.
Yeah, Nick Cage, in order to look like Nick Cage, I guess, in order to look like Castor Troy. I keep forgetting their names, and I want to just keep saying Nick Cage. In order to look more like Castor Troy, he gladly drinks down the fucking alcohol with broken drugs in it, and then reveals his plan that he is going to kill Sean Archer. It's like, how are you going to do that? How are you going to get in? And he's like, well, I know the security code to his house. It's the birth date of his dead son. Doesn't it just break your heart?
Wham! My son's dead. He was sniped.
And then it's just like, how'd you get all this information on Sean Archer? I also want to say Sean Harrison, but that's not correct at all.
No! Wow, what a different movie that would be. And then Kimber is Eve, I guess.
No, please, Kristen, no, please. We don't want to build.
Now.
Let's not build a gem face-off AU here.
Oh God, we keep doing that by accident.
Nick Cage is just like, well, I guess I was sleeping with his wife, and then they all laugh and laugh and laugh. And here's another GIF of Nick Cage that I've seen 1,000 times of him starting to laugh hysterically. While also kind of looking very troubled in the same process, probably because there's so many factors swirling around. In addition to the drugs, he just looks so...
He's ready to cry.
He looks ready to cry.
So the culmination of this plan, this drug-fueled plan, is they need to kidnap Sean Archer so that they can take his face off. And it's important to know that we keep doing the gesture where he has his hand near his face and then pulls it away. Face off.
And it's funny because Baldwin, he also does the gesture when Nick Cage is turned away. And he's like, oh, face off.
Like he's getting a feel for it.
It felt really like Lynchian. Like I felt like in Twin Peaks when like Leland Palmer's having a breakdown on the dance floor and they think it's a new dance craze where they're just like, oh, face off. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Face off. It was like, no, whoa, no.
Can I just say real quick that Leland Palmer crying while dancing is probably my favorite moment in Twin Peaks?
It's kind of the most memorable. I do love it a lot.
I need to watch Twin Peaks.
Because there's just a bunch of Norwegian people who are all like doing this weird breakdown motion because they think it was a dance.
Oh my God.
You really need to watch Twin Peaks.
I do.
So Nick Cage just like stumbles away as they do the face off motion a few times. Nick Cage is fucking zonked out of his skull on whatever fucking drugs were in that thing, and Dietrich even says like, oh, no more drugs for that man, ha ha. And then when Nick Cage goes to get a drink of water, he notices himself in the mirror and points a gun at it.
Yep.
I read a note that I totally forgot about. I had a weird dream recently where I walked by a mirror and I was in like a bear onesie, and I was so shocked that I was like, when the fuck did I put that on? And the best explanation I came up with in my dream is that when I was asleep, someone else put it on me. And I just looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, what the fuck am I wearing? It was like, I don't know, The Shining or something.
Is it weird that I thought if Nick Cage actually shot at the mirror that a bullet would come out from the other side and hit him?
That's not how guns work or reflections.
No, it's not. No, I don't.
Some
When
kind
he,
of-
just
You're
when
getting too deep into the fiction here.
It's like a weird French expressionist film
Yeah.
about the
Pew,
descent
pew.
into hell and finding your true self.
And like considering what happens with the mirrors later with Nick Cage and John Travolta pointing their guns at each other's reflections, you were like a little bit too on the nose way too soon.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that happened, so that's great. Sasha shows up here and she slaps Nick Cage in the face, which knocks him out. Sasha being the lady with the baby from before, Dietrich's sister.
If they're 5, they're not really a baby anymore, Joe.
Well, fuck, she said son, whatever, fuck it. I just referred to her as baby lady. Doesn't matter. She didn't specify until later, I don't think, so. So we join John Travolta talking to Pollux over the phone when Jamie arrives with boyfriend. I like how when John Travolta's talking here, he's just like, oh, we just gotta, I'll only have one more jag-off to deal with after all this, and then he looks out the window and sees the boyfriend trying to kiss on Jamie, and he's like, well, maybe I gotta deal with 2. And things
Nice
get...
to know he's not that evil.
And things get sexual assaulty.
Yeah. Luckily not involving Castor.
Yeah.
Because in a genuinely heroic moment here, he kicks through the window of the dude's car, pulls him out, and kicks him in the dick, and forces him to say he's sorry, and then kicks his ass a little more, throws him over the hood of the car, and then it's just like, "Ah!" and he runs away. So, thank God. Fuck off.
Yeah, once they're inside, he is a little bit judgy and says that her dressing goth is the reason that she just almost got raped.
Yeah, like if you dress like it's Halloween, the ghouls come to play or something like that.
Bad messages. Bad fathering.
Bad fathering. And then he makes up for it by giving her a butterfly knife.
Yep, gives her some protection. As soon as he gave her that knife, I was like, she is going to use that on him later. This movie telegraphs
Good call.
itself very, very strongly in some places.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that at the time. I was like, like, he pulls out the knife, it's all slow motion and shit, too. When he pulls it
And
out...
there's a shot of her holding it, like a tight shot of her face holding the knife up near her face. And, like, looking at it.
Right. And I didn't think about that at all until, the last scene when she shows up. It's like, oh, she has the knife, probably. And she does. Spoiler alert.
Yep. Uh-huh.
John Travolta then sits back and goes, I am the king.
Yeah.
Sure you are, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
So we rejoin Nick Cage with Sasha. She's kind of, like, kissing all over him and stuff. And it's just like...
But she's, like, kind of mad, too.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm not sure she realized... She's got some very confused emotional things going on. And you really can't blame her considering the line of work that she is in, along with the very mixed feelings she seems to have for Castor Troy.
Mm-hmm. And Freaky Pollux is watching from binoculars far away.
So John Travolta gets a call from Pollux immediately, who informs him that Nick Cage has been meeting with some of their old acquaintances. And here's where we get a fun little exchange where she provided Nick Cage with some clothes, I guess, afterwards some new clothes, and he's just like, hey, so these are pretty nice clothes. And she's like, yeah, they're yours. And he just kind of looks over at the kid and he's just like, so nice kid. Yeah, he's yours.
And again, as soon as the clothes thing happened and the kid was wandering around, I'm like, I know where this is going.
And John Travolta, Nick Cage meets Nick Cage's son, and he does the weird hand thing to his
Oh my
face.
god!
Yeah, he does the weird hand face thing and like holds him real close, and you can tell things are about to break bad.
Yep.
Like,
This might have happened if he'd just gone to therapy.
He calls him Michael a few times, which is ooh.
yeah,
I mean, to
that's
be
when
fair, they had the same exact hair.
and that's when the mom is like, how about you let go of my kid now?
Yeah, that's enough. You met him. We'll try again later.
And then the police raid starts, so they can just kind of let that lay there. They don't have to talk about what just happened because, now we got to worry about not getting shot. Goodbye.
We can't talk about this. It's time for action scene number 3.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's excellent that the police decide to raid this place knowing that one of the ladies they've been watching has a child.
And there's just a lot of people who are presumably sex workers, but also, not necessarily devils.
Not terrorists.
They aren't starting, they're not setting off bombs or anything.
No.
They're just hanging out in skimpy dresses and they're trying to leave and they can't leave.
That poor lady in the really cool red dress dies.
I know, it sucks.
Whoever that was.
Everyone's getting shot here. I mean, I understand that they're trying to catch an escaped convict. And Dietrich probably isn't making it any better trying to shoot at the police in the process, too. But a lot of people end up getting caught in the crossfire here. A lot of cops, a lot of sex workers and such, or drug dealers and things. A lot of them are all dying in order to catch one person. So many cops get fucking shot and probably killed here.
This was a bad plan.
It's almost like every iteration of John Travolta has so far been a bad cop when it comes to like allocating resources.
Yeah.
No matter who is John Travolta at this moment, it's a bad John Travolta.
Yep. So I guess it's consistent.
Yeah.
So they put some headphones on the kid to have him listen to some music, which probably won't drown out the gunshots, but
No,
hey.
and he'll probably be traumatized when he hears that song again in the future.
Well, to be
That's
honest,
great.
who wants to really listen to Somewhere Over the Rainbow performed by one Olive Newton-John, everybody's favorite Austrian?
I'm very confused about, was that what he was listening to?
Is that a serious reference?
That is, no, Somewhere Over the Rainbow version that he was listening to was by Olivia Newton-John.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't notice. I just heard like weird warbling that I couldn't identify.
Oh yeah, it was Somewhere Over the Rainbow, but it's from The Wizard of Oz, so I didn't really care who was singing it.
Nope, it was Olivia Newton-John.
Huh.
Damn.
Weird crossover.
Everything connects. Circle of life. Illuminati.
Synergy!
Olivia Newton and Natty.
So Nick Cage manages to save the kid before he's shot too, because the kid starts like wandering out into the middle of everything while there's like a firefight going on. And who shoots at the fucking kid is my question.
Like, the kid was sitting on a bank of lights, which for one thing, why does your weird, like, apartment base, whatever the fuck this is, why does it have this sick bank of lights? But
Because it's sick, I guess.
you have this kid surrounded by no one, so they couldn't have been aiming at anyone else, but this kid who's very well lit and is very clearly a child, and they're shooting at the 5-year-old who's listening to music on the light bulb.
One shot where not John Travolta.
Whatever. The character in this scene who is relevant.
Yes, where Nick Cage, who is Archer, is holding the kid, and someone busts down the door, one of the cops, and he yells at the cop, "Don't shoot," while he's holding the kid, and the cop does not shoot and takes cover instead. And that's the only time someone avoids shooting at this child!
Now, as things start to die down, John Travolta enters the fray. They get into some room, I think it's the mirror room where this happens, right? Where John Travolta gets a good shot on Sasha, who has the kid at this point. Alex? Is that Alan? What is his name?
Kid? Adam.
Yeah,
Close enough.
so it's also like super biblical.
He grows up to be Revolver Ocelot.
Oh, great. So that makes Sasha the boss.
Again, Russian.
And Nick Cage is the Sorrow!
Ah!
Oh no, I don't like any of this.
We need to stop these one-to-one comparisons. They ruin everything.
Oh, fuck. Okay, so... Oh, did I skip the part 2? Oh, yes. Sasha also, when she gets the kid back, Adam, kicks a dude in the dick when he
points a gun at her. The kid touches the gun and she says, "Don't touch that." Kicks the gunman in the dick. Then says, "Don't ever do that. It's dangerous," and then kisses him. It's cute. It's very cute.
Yes, but it's time now for Dietrich to die because he gets in the way of a bullet going right for Sasha or the kid or both of them at the same time. It's very evocative of the first scene of the movie where he's, shooting both. Like, she's holding the kid really close and you're thinking like, oh no, the same thing might happen. But no, Dietrich gets shot in the neck and he's just like...
rough.
Yes, and he's just like, so hey, go ahead and get out of here, Sasha. I'll catch up, and then just dies. And then, they also
we were
kiss.
saying, yeah, that part, they kiss on the mouth, which is weird.
It's slightly too deep a kiss to be ignored, but also, like, they only do it the once, so I feel like...
as he knows he's about to die.
Yeah, I feel like if they were going to imply that this was, like, a weird thing, they probably would have gone a little harder with it.
Yeah, this movie... subtlety is not its forte, so hopefully that was just a weird thing. But yeah, we were discussing before we were recording that, like, the slow motion murder of all of these, like, crime people just somewhere over the rainbow is kind of really sad.
Yeah, it's a little, it's a mood whiplash, as they would say on TV tropes, I think.
I mean, it doesn't help that, like, we know at this moment that a lot of these people are shooting to protect a child, whereas the cops are shooting at a child. So it's hard to be on the cops' side.
It's much different than a typical action movie. Let's waste the criminals thing.
Yeah, it's like,
those criminals are people who have family.
They're their family and they're trying to protect a kid mostly.
Yeah.
It's a little intense.
Yeah. Huh.
The closest this movie gets to being poignant.
Yeah.
So Nick Cage and John Travolta have their confrontation at this point. They end up on opposite sides of the mirror thing. Here's where they have that, that conversation that's just like, so hey, I like being you, but I like being me more. So how about we trade back? And Nick Cage is just like, fuck you. And then I guess it's just better to just kill each other.
Yep. So they turn around, aim their guns at the mirror. They see the man that they're actually going to be shooting. Get the right face.
Symbolism.
Deep.
Very, very heavy-handed symbolism.
Very deep.
Oh, yes. They both shoot and dodge.
Yeah.
So fuck that.
Easy peasy.
What, you thought this was the end of the movie past Kristen? Fuck you.
Their guns were almost touching, and they both miss each other.
Mm-hmm. They both were able to get out of the way fast enough. Like, holy shit.
Nick Cage ends up scurrying up to the roof. Pollux is there somehow.
Hanging out.
He's there.
Yeah.
They both end up climbing on ladders. Nick Cage swings on some kind of cable, smacks into Pollux. They both fall into the skylight, but Nick Cage holds onto the edge, and then Pollux falls through a second skylight because this place fancy.
Oh, yeah.
And he dead. That was a pretty tall height.
It was a pretty large, like, it was a fall, and then also it was through several panes of glass, so he had, like, several
Trauma.
Yeah. That's pretty sad.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, John Travolta has to now deal with the death of his brother, his poor brother, and he ties his shoes one last time.
Yeah, it's, like, a really, really sad scene and everything, and, like, the tying of the shoes, and, you know, it's sad and whatever. Pollux is wearing corduroy socks. He was wearing pants. He was wearing pants that looked like corduroy, but clearly were not, and socks that were actually corduroy.
You deserve to go
And
through
I'm
those
so
skylights.
upset, because I was like, what the fuck are you wearing?
Fancy.
Oh, God. No wonder you fell over so quickly. You have no support. Everything's weird down there. Just, give it up.
Yeah, the cop comes over and he's like, is he wearing corduroy socks? And then he gets shot in the head.
Me if I was a cop. It wouldn't last long.
So that should be another thing too. Is John Travolta is still in charge of shit, even though nobody was around to see it. But I think somebody could match ballistics. That's just like, so hey, this cop died to a bullet in the head from like a cop gun. Was it friendly? Like what happened?
Pollux stole it and shot him as he was falling through the two windows.
With both arms.
Very good
both
shot.
guns, two
Yeah.
guns.
Pow.
So we cut to John Travolta back at work. Now he's down in the dumps because his brother is dead, as well as Lazaro comes in and he is on his ass about causing so much death and destruction, fashion, and fame in his last raid.
Yep, too bad.
Sure.
And you could tell that he's, like, Lazaro's having a little trouble because he's just, like, kind of hitting his chest every so often and kind of, like, breathing heavy. So...
Yeah, it seemed like when he walked in, he was already having a heart attack, and Castor kind of encourages it.
John Travolta at this point can also tell that Lazaro might be getting close to... He's, like, asking too many questions because he's just like, where the hell have you been getting your intel? Because, like, you're not getting it from informants or anything. I'm just wondering how you're able to catch all of these terrorism people so quickly. And John Travolta walks over and he's just like, you know what? I got a secret, Lazaro, and I don't think you're going to like it. I'm Castor Troy. And then he karate chops him in the back of the neck. Which apparently, that's apparently enough to induce a heart attack.
I mean, to be fair, at the beginning of the scene when he's, like, yelling and chewing him out, there's a moment where you're like, oh, this character is about to have a heart attack.
Right,
So,
right.
yeah.
Like that scene in Heavy Rain.
Oh, shit.
With Gordy's father.
Fuck. Shit.
Yeah.
Fuck.
You can leave him to die, or you can give him his heart attack medicine.
So much more David Cage than I ever wanted in this podcast this episode.
Oh, we could have been saying a lot more stuff. Trust me.
For someone you seem to hate, Kristen, you like bringing up his games a lot.
It's because he steals from everything.
Yeah.
And everyone calls him an artiste.
So we cut back. Nick Cage arrives at home. John Travolta's home. His own home, I guess. Sean Archer's home.
Home at last.
For some reason, he thinks this is a good idea to break into his home. Eve is just getting out of the shower and is like, drying her hair off, walking out, not noticing him, and then he goes, Eve. And she turns around and it's just like, Ugh.
And he does a little bit of a, like, elephant man, don't look at me sort of thing, like hunches and covers his face, and he's like, don't look at my face, don't listen to my voice. I am...
John Travolta.
Sean?
Yep.
Sean
Archer.
Archer. I was gonna say Sean Bean.
No!
I don't know why this is so hard for me.
How many Sean's is Sean Archer going to be in this movie?
If it was
Sean
Bean.
Harrison, Sean Bean.
Sean Penn. So yes, Nick Cage basically tries to explain the plot of the movie to his wife, and it showcases really how, like, ridiculous this is.
Again, this is that actress hearing the plot of the movie the first time, going, excuse me, and starting to scream.
And as he's like, it's just so, like, when you sit down and you explain, so hey, So the idea was for me to be Nick Cage to get his brother to reveal the location of the bomb, but then Nick Cage woke up and like there was nobody to stop him to turn into me. So now he's me, and he killed everybody who knew that I'm him. And
thank God Eve does not believe it. At first, at least. Waits until he has concrete proof.
Yeah, he also takes a picture of Michael from like the nightstand and does the weird hand thing to the picture.
Yeah, and then he sees his face, and then he sees his reflection, and he sees his Nick Cage face, and he punches the picture, and Eve is like, "Fuck you!"
Yeah, bro. But he takes the picture out and saves it for later. So plot device.
And he gives the he's just like, well, if you don't believe me, Castor Troy's blood type is AB. Mine is O negative. That's how you should be able to know. And then he goes off into the night. And Eve is just like, I can't fucking believe that just happened.
With Castor as John Travolta still acting very weird, talking about how Lazaro, I already forgot his name.
Yeah, the guy who had the heart attack.
Talk about how he died. He's like, oh, not losing you too, and puts his hands around her neck as if he's massaging her, but also like he could choke her any second. She's like, okay, I think I might need to test out this blood type thing.
Yeah, he gives her like the same setup of I have a secret to tell you. And you're not gonna like it, and it's the same thing that he told Lazaro before karate chopping, but now it looks like he's either gonna fucking strangle her or snap her neck or something, and but it's just a really intense neck massage.
Yep, he's probably never actually given a good one of those before. Anyone who complained, just pop them. Who cares? No bad customers. My Yelp reviews are amazing. So when he is asleep and she is pretending to read, she pricks his arm to get some of his blood, and in the middle of the night goes to the hospital to test it.
And what do you know? AB blood type, which when it comes up, she's just like...
Yeah, I would be pretty freaked out too.
And Nick Cage is in the room because he was just hanging out. I guess Nick Cage got shot during the firefight too, I'm pretty sure. I don't know
so he's been nursing a gunshot wound this entire time.
He's just been hanging out at the hospital just for some reason. He was able to do that, I guess, because he shows up out of the shadows and Eve points a gun at him because at this point she can't trust fucking anybody. And I mean, I don't blame her, but fuck.
Well, she's being cautious and she comes around in the same scene. So to me, this is good characterization.
Yeah. Also, he does the weird hand thing to her face, which should be enough to let her know that, oh, this is my husband because
we're the only weirdos that do that.
Yeah. Normal person would never imagine doing this to a stranger.
It would either be someone you're very close to and you constantly do that gesture to each other, or some rando on the streets who's like, I want your face! It looks real good! And you go, ah! Don't touch me!
So Nick Cage begins to recant a tale about, I believe, probably their first date, where he was just like, I went to take a lady to surf and turf without knowing she was a vegetarian. She broke her tooth on a rye seed. Fucking drunk dentist, fixed wrong tooth, got a kiss.
That's exactly how we told it too. It's really hard to recant a romantic tale while you have a gunshot wound.
Also, it's hard to tell a romantic story that involves a dentist.
Yeah, unless like the person you went out with is a dentist.
Yeah, when neither party is actually a dentist, and it's just like, oh, we also had to go to the dentist. I would never date that person.
I married that person.
I wouldn't.
Beautiful.
It could be the best date on the planet. I'd be like, you know what? No.
But then there was a dentist, and I wasn't feeling it anymore.
I'm going home.
John Travolta wakes up the next morning to see nobody in bed, so he's immediately like, well, my wife turned on me. Time to go fucking kill her or whatever. Kill myself, kill Nick Cage as
kill
me.
Everyone!
Kill everyone. He immediately goes into the hospital with, he has like a strike force with him, right? Like
he brings like two of his buddies.
He has a posse.
Yeah. They arrive just in time for, well, I shouldn't say he arrives just in time, but they have, Nick Cage and Eve have a little bit of a back and forth about how John Travolta will be at Lazaro's funeral the next day. So that is when they will have their final confrontation.
Yep, and they talk about how he doesn't want Eve to go. She said that she can keep Jamie from going, but if she doesn't go, then Castor will definitely know that something is up, so she has to go too.
And Nick Cage escapes in time before John Travolta makes it in. And so I say that John Travolta shouldn't suspect the thing, but he does, because as he walks away, after he and Eve have a little exchange of just, she gives a good reason too. It's just like, oh, I didn't see you in bed this morning. She's like, I'm a doctor that's on call, got to.
Yeah.
And
leave me alone. I'm working on this poor man's face. Off.
And as John Travolta's walking away, he goes, lies, distrust, mixed messages. This is turning into a real marriage.
Doesn't it hurt? Jealousy, baby.
So we cut to Nick Cage, all suited up. Sasha's coming too, I guess, even though he's just like, no, don't, Sasha, don't come, Sasha, don't do that.
You think it would have gone worse? I mean, Spoiler alert, she does die during the confrontation, but she ends up helping.
She does. You're right. John Travolta and Eve suited up as well. Also, Nick Cage almost does the weird hand thing to Sasha, but he stops himself.
Probably a good call.
Yeah. That would have been, like, cheating.
Keep it in the family.
Yeah.
And he promises that no matter what happens, Sean Archer will be off her back for good. Because she doesn't want...
nice.
She doesn't want, Nick Cage dying too after Sean Archer managed to take her brother.
Yeah, it's a downer.
And she got a kid, so at this point, Archer is like, you deserve to just have a life after this.
Yeah. Also, when John Travolta and Eve are talking, John Travolta asks her, so hey, where's Jamie? Is she coming? And Eve's like, oh, she ran away. She took $50 out of my purse. She never goes to our son's grave, so why would she go to your boss's? Let's go.
I think that was a really good explanation.
Yeah.
Again, he's, at this point, incredibly paranoid, so...
Oh, yeah.
I think he's, like, suspicious, but, like, not enough to act at that point, so she did her job with her lie.
Yeah. So we're at the funeral here for Lazaro, and I have the question...
Seagulls! Doves!
Lots of doves.
Pigeons. That's later, pigeons, but lots of doves.
Many bird.
I have a question. Shouldn't Lazaro's autopsy have shown that he got a karate chop to the back of the neck? Probably.
When he fell over, he smacked the back of his neck on a desk.
Yeah.
There's your answer!
Oh, fuck. Why do you gotta make it so...
Decisive?
Why you gotta make
they
it
call
sound
me
like...
Occam's razor.
He didn't have any, like, Phoenix Wright situation. No one really investigated this one.
No, they didn't give a shit. He was old.
He's dead. Fuck it. Everybody has a heart attack. Whatever. We want our cool new John Travolta to take over. So he had a heart attack. Whatever.
Don't they only do, like, investigative autopsies if someone died under suspicious circumstances? Otherwise, it's just like, how's everything in there? Looking good? Okay.
Yeah, basically.
I don't think they would, like, do a once-over on him to be like, well, did he get hit anywhere?
I don't know. I assume that most people got autopsies anyway. I'm no death expert, so...
Everything I know about autopsies I learned from Law & Order, so...
Yeah, pretty much. So we see Nick Cage walking in slow motion as the doves are flying, all dramatic. He lights a candle for his fallen homie Lazaro. He goes down and prays. Takes out...
When you said his fallen homie, I thought you meant his son.
Well, he does take out a picture of Michael at this point. Maybe he lights the candle for Michael and not Lazaro. His birthday was very recent, as we saw.
Booyah, little homie.
He takes out the picture of Michael, yes, and gives it to an altar boy who brings it up to John Travolta and gives it to him. He's just like, somebody in the back wanted me to give this to you. John Travolta looks at it.
It's his calling card, motherfucker.
And he crushes it in his hand, which, I mean, his wife is right next to him, so I don't know if you should be crushing up a picture of your dead son in front of all these people, but whatever.
I think the gig is up at this point.
Well, yeah, because now it's just the funeral's over, whatever. The church is all empty, and Nick Cage goes and lays out his guns in front of God and the doves. And yep. Does he start saying anything at this point? I don't remember. Does he just start, or does John Travolta just enter and...
Yeah, I think the Latin chanting is first.
Yep, he does some fake Latin chanting or real Latin chanting, because I don't know what Latin sounds like, really, so...
I didn't recognize any of the words because I used to be in choir and learn some, like, obviously the stuff during the actual service in Latin was actual Latin. I knew some of the words there. Maybe it was just John Travolta's voice. Didn't really recognize anything in there.
And then he does the Jesus crucifixion pose, which, in order to nail it home, they cut to a shot of the Jesus on the crucifix in the church.
Don't you get me wrong. Don't you get me wrong now.
And then they left him on the cross, and they all got back on the bus, and they went home.
Yep. And then Ted Neely was Castor the entire time.
Oh my god.
We need to stop doing this.
And then he shows off that Eve has been captured, and Jamie is on the way as well. Everybody starts pointing guns at each other. Sasha shows up pointing guns. Some other dudes show up pointing guns at each other. It's a big, fat, fucking Mexican standoff.
Tense.
And then lead starts flying all over the church. We start getting, at this point in the movie, it's where I started noticing. I saw a few obvious stunt double things that happened, but here is where it starts getting particularly egregious for me. Where at one point Eve breaks a chair over who I'm assuming is supposed to be John Travolta, but looks like Ricky from Trailer Park Boys when you see his face. So...
I'm so bad at seeing stunt doubles and things. Like, there are things that I've seen pointed out in retrospect in Buffy the Vampire Slayer specifically.
Oh, they're bad.
Where they would replace, like, female opponents with burly men.
Oh.
Yeah, the stunt double stuff gets really bad at the end part here. Afterwards, in the boat chase that we eventually get to, that gets really bad.
By the time we got to the boat chase, I was like, I hope they pay those stuntmen extra.
Because that's a pretty. I mean, this is, I guess, action scene 3.5 kind of, where there's the results of the Mexican standoff, and
I personally this is action scene 4 because we've already had 3.
Okay.
I'd say this one's 4, and I think the boat transition is 5. Because there's a long enough period of time between this and the next one.
It's really long.
Because it basically, the last chunk of the movie is an entire fight.
Yep.
Interspliced with scenes of doves flying in front of like religious statues. Because it's not a John Woo movie if you don't have a shit ton of doves for some reason.
I wish my life were like that. Just doves.
So in all of the brouhaha here, Sasha ends up sacrificing herself for Nick Cage. And she goes, take care of our boy. And here in my notes, I wrote, oh, Jesus, John Travolta is going to get a replacement son.
Yep, they got a new one. Green.
Same age, same shitty haircut.
Uh-huh. New model. Here it is. New boy.
Well, I mean, at this point, the kid would have been 11 instead of 5. So, I mean, it's just like...
Yeah, but they get him back
They get to start over.
They get him back at the age he died at.
He had an extra life.
Yeah.
Just start over from where they stopped. It's not going to be weird at all.
There's more shooting.
That kid's going to be fucked up.
There's more shooting. Birds start flying all in John Travolta's face, so at this point it turns into basically a fist fight. Jamie arrived earlier, but she's here now, basically watching her dad and the man who killed her brother fist fighting each other. And she got a gun. Here it is. Jamie got a gun. And she's faced with the impossible task of shooting one, and it's like the fucking... it's like every possible thing where it's just like, don't shoot him, I'm the real one.
Yeah.
Except it's actually with different people, so she makes the decision to shoot Nick Cage,
which makes sense.
Yeah,
who she
Arthur
thinks
really
is Nick
didn't have a leg
Cage.
to stand on.
All right, let me. All right, so she shoots at her father, who is Nick Cage currently, but not John Travolta, who is...
Joe, I think you're the only person who's confused here now.
She does the correct thing because he didn't have time to tell her a story about lobsters, dentists.
This was not going to turn out well.
Yeah.
Right. At that point, John Travolta grabs her and puts a gun to her head and licks the side of her face while taunting shot Nick Cage.
Great! So, there's the knife that he gave her. She takes it and stabs him in the leg and twists it and gets out of there.
Just
So
like
good on
he
her.
taught her. Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. Again, the only thing that sets us apart from a David Cage thing is that the women kind of are alright.
So John Travolta starts shooting cops as they arrive because he manages to like push away from Jamie because after getting stabbed in the leg and just kind of hobbles away, shooting at cops, shoots a
A
guy
guy
in a
comes
boat.
out and he's like, "You okay, sir?" And he's like, "Pew, pew, pew."
Shoots a guy in a boat and starts
Does
shooting
some
at,
stick stunts.
at the dock while he's driving away. The dock fucking explodes. And Nick
Red barrels.
Cage gets in a boat, and it's time for a fucking boat chase. I am so goddamn fatigued at this point.
Oh, yeah.
There was a boat chase. I really don't know how much of this we need to describe.
There's an entire other action sequence before the end of the movie. Holy fuck, they bump into each other a few times. John
People fall
Travolta
off.
hits everybody on a police boat. Nick Cage's boat
Choking.
crashes through a police boat.
He has to jump to the other boat.
Oh, fuck.
I watched this movie early this afternoon, actually, and I kind of like just fucking skipped all of this. I was like, let's just get to the shore. I know, I get it. Action, and then you bank, and then continues.
Fuck. John Travolta tries smashing Nick Cage with the anchor a few times. Nick Cage grabs the harpoon gun. Fuck it, just the boat crashes basically on the shore or whatever. Two stunt doubles
Sick jump!
Two stunt doubles
You're 50, hit that ramp!
Flying from the boat. The boat explodes and they're still fighting. Oh, fucking Jesus. Come on!
John Travolta did just get stabbed in the thigh.
Mm-hmm.
He should be a little bit more staggered
Nick Cage
than he
got
actually
shot.
is.
Like, this is the point in which Nick Cage doing the screaming, die! Makes a lot more sense. You're just like,
what
fucking
the fuck
die!
are you made out of?
My god.
Go
Both of you.
down!
Holy shit.
It reminds me of the fight at the end of Misery, where Kathy Bates did not want to fucking stay down. Oh, okay, so we get to the shore now. Nick Cage notices the harpoon gun on the ground, stabs John Travolta in the other leg, and...
Man, both thighs in one day.
He should probably
peanuts. This is bum.
Gosh darn it.
Dang it.
he should probably just shoot him at this point, but he waits and like steps close enough for John Travolta to like grab the harpoon and stop the firing mechanism somehow.
He just like grabs the harpoon.
You can do that with like an actual like handgun too. Like if you are brave enough and it's your only option, when someone is trying to shoot you, you could just grab the gun over where the hammer is and it won't go off.
Well, right, okay.
You have to have a really tight grip though.
I think he had a hand over the bolt and like he knew he couldn't stop it.
Yeah.
But he was postponing it so that he could just cut up his face a little bit.
And then not even do a very good job. It was very rushed. He tries to mess up the face so that John Travolta John Travolta can't get it back. Can't get back that John Travolta face, but
he just kind of gently. I've gotten worse scratches from my cat.
The special effects makeup is not great.
No.
Nick Cage ends it the way that it should be ended in par with this movie, where we get, I believe, the 4th or 5th dick kick of this movie. Kicks him right in the dick, which makes him let go of the harpoon, shoots the harpoon into him, and this is where, yes, Nick Cage goes, die!
And he does, after a little bit of singing.
He does a little sing-song.
Yeah.
It's the same thing that he was singing at the beginning of the movie when he had the gun barrel to his head, too. And Nick Cage has himself a sit-down. Because what are you supposed to do?
He is fatigued.
What are you supposed to do after that? Because, yeah, Jesus.
Oh, just go home now. Go get a burger.
The cops arrive. They all know the whole story now, because it's just like, how are you, Mr. Archer, or Sir, or whatever, Sean, whatever they call him. And
I think just Archer, but yes.
Yeah, and Nick Cage is just like, what? Can I go to the hospital?
I want to go home.
They probably should have told more people about all this.
Well, things end up okay.
That's all this boils down to for me. The top surgical team from Washington, D.C. is coming in on this one. Everything's gonna be A-okay. Nick Cage takes back John Travolta's wedding ring for himself, which is actually John Travolta's wedding ring.
I was saying to Madeline, we were doing the quick rewatch, I thought that Nick Cage was going to hold John Travolta's hand. Like, we did it, buddy.
Yep.
He tells the doctor that he doesn't need his scar anymore, but since this isn't Dr. Walsh, the doctor probably has no idea what the fuck Nick Cage is talking about.
I forgot about that.
He just looks like, okay, sir.
I don't know, maybe they still have, like, the scan of his body and how it was previously.
Post-it note attached to the box says, keep that
scar! Notation. Scar. So
we fade to white, then to Eve. John Travolta's home, baby. Danny Zuko's here.
There are 2 of them.
And I wrote a joke in my notes, which is just humiliating to think about for a second, where I was like, that's also how I would feel if I saw John Travolta just walking up to my house and, oh, yay! No, I really don't think you would like that. No, I wouldn't.
Maybe if you lived in, like, a regular domestic home.
Oh,
it would be like, wow, he's here, but if he came through your apartment door, it would be like,
God,
leave!
So he smiles, and they embrace, and the music swells. Jamie is even just like, I'm sorry I shot you, Dad, and they all have a big old family hug. And then
face thing.
And then they all do the face thing.
So much.
And then John Travolta's just like, so hey,
I picked up a child at the grocery store. I went to Staples, and I was like, you got any boys?
It was on the list, right? You did right.
New boy.
New boy.
Anyway, got him.
And, yep, he's here, and Jamie's just like, so hey, Adam, I'm Jamie, and she does the hand thing to his face, and stop with the fucking hand thing. Holy fuck. That's
How do you feel about the name New Michael?
That's the end of the movie. Stop it before we see any more. Holy fuck, that was Face Off.
God damn, yes it was.
What a fucking ridiculous movie.
Yep. It is excellent. It very easily could have been a whole different beast, but instead we got this.
What could have been?
It's compounded by the fact that I don't know if Castor Troy was written as like a big ham, and or if that's how Nick Cage played it, and in effect, that's how John Travolta had to play it when he became Castor Troy.
What actor do you see playing Castor Troy straight as like a apparently handsome, very sexually good? I'm trying to think of the opposite of the word inept.
Ept.
Is that really it?
No, I have no idea.
I didn't think so. That's what I had the issue with. Like, suave dude who got all the ladies, but was just unhinged. Like, who is the actor actor that does that and nails it.
I'm sure there are plenty, but I don't watch those movies because I find them boring.
Yeah. Is it fucking Jared Leto now? Is that it?
No.
I could see it being kind of Brad Pitt and Fight Club-y, like a Tyler Durden kind of thing.
Yeah. Because, like, there are so many people who would have played this straight and who could have... I mean, and again, I don't know if it was in the script to make it, like, the way that this happened, but it could have been played straight and just been a boring action movie. And instead we have two actors who have the most bizarre,
distinct acting styles.
Yeah, where, like, if there's a movie with them in it, it's either a bad movie or a really good movie.
Mm-hmm.
To just have them both pretend to be each other, pretending to be themselves.
Yeah, man, what would this movie have been if it were Brad Pitt and Edward Norton?
It wouldn't have been very good. I mean, I'm sure it would have been fine.
Well acted.
Passable. Beautifully did.
Forgettable.
Okay.
It would, I think, forgettable action movie. I mean, even now, I'd say Face Off would be categorized under forgettable action movie, but even still with, like, kind of like a diamond in the rough sheen to it, maybe, where it's just like...
It's got a twist.
Right. Mm-hmm. Oh, now's the point in the evening where we'll list off all of the fun contact things, where you can reach us. Follow us on the Twitter machine, at CWTApod. You can follow me at Octopus, which is AWKTAPUS.
You can follow me at FunnyGirlTM, like trademark.
Oh, and you can follow me at Ignore the Robot.
You can find us on the iTunes, on the SoundCloud, on the Stitcher Radio. Leave a rating, give a review, do whatever you feel like. Drop us a line, email-wise, cwtapod@gmail.com, where you can tell us about weird hand-face things that you do with your family members.
And I have kind of an essay question that I feel like might be really interesting for people to fill out, which is, what would you do if you woke up and had Nick Cage's face?
I would scream and scream and scream and scream. I think my life would have to take a different path after that.
I would have to do some weird shit in Philadelphia. Like not illegal weird shit, not inconvenient weird shit, but I would do some weird shit.
Like, would it be like the possible fake Bill Murray story kind of weird shit of just like going and grabbing somebody's burger and being like,
no one will ever believe you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Next week on the Can We Talk About podcast, the wait is over. It is the Gem Season 1 wrap-up Kim Tackey-Burr, a celebration/roast of all things Season 1 of Gem. It's going to be a much more casual experience. I'm going to try not to fucking write a note of everything that I want to say, at least, which I do for basically everything else.
We're going to see how we do freestyling it.
Not that I try to be as rigid as possible, I just want to make sure that I don't miss any details, even though I end up missing details anyway.
Hey, I appreciate it. It helps my experience recording this podcast, too, because my notes are not anywhere near as detailed as yours.
So yeah, we're going to have a nice, relaxing conversation about a 24-minute cartoon that we all know and love at this point, that I hope people know and love, that I hope people aren't just listening to the movie episodes and like, hey, Gem is the bulk of our podcast, please listen to it.
It's really funny, come on.
So celebrate along with us next week for the Can We Talk About podcast. My name is Joe.
I'm Kristen.
I'm Madeline.
And join us next week for the Gem Season 1 wrap-up, Kim Tackey-Burr.
Checks in the mail.